Hey y'all, I'm Derek, and this is going to be very unfiltered. All right, I am probably like Robin Williams from the movie Man of the Year. So when you hear unfiltered, I'm just going to tell you like it is, and it's just going to be real relaxed. I was not making any plans of having a TV show here or anything like that, so I'm just going to come to you like I do on my Facebook Live, and I'm going to tell you from the start to not the finish yet, but I'm going to do a chronological order of what you witnessed right in front of your own eyes via law and order. So I got my little cheat sheet over here to keep me on track, as you saw the other day in my video, my first video, when I was sitting in a truck and I was sweltering hot in the summer heat. To explain that video, I have a buddy who texts me every day, and we've been talking now for almost, we've been talking a long time, but we've been talking about this in particular. And I was telling him, hey, do you know what's going on, man? This is freaking biblical, it's monumental, it's historical, and 99% of America and 99% of the world aren't seeing it just yet. And I'm like, it happened all right in front of you. It happened right in front of your eyes, by law and by order. And so he was texting me, and he's trying to repeat all this to his friends, and they think he's crazy. They think he's off his rocker. And so I was like, well, look, I am in the middle of nowhere right now. I'm at my hunting cabin, and I don't have great phone reception, but I'll ride up the road and I will get on Facebook Live, and I'll put a video out there. That way I'm under pressure, and that way people are watching. And so I'll get on my soapbox real good, and I will lay out every single thing that I can possibly think of, but the most important laws and orders that happen right in front of you. I mean, it's 2022. All right, so these laws and orders have taken place from 2017 to 2021. So everything you're witnessing right now has already taken place. It's already in law books. It's already in law and order. Laws and orders. So we're gonna, we're gonna make this real intimate. I'm not some professional dude that's gonna sit like this on the camera with his arms crossed and be that. I'm a United States Army veteran. I was a 14 Sierra Air and Missile Defense. I didn't get to serve as long as most guys and most girls. I was cut short. I'm a disabled veteran, and but I do love my country. I took an oath. The oath never expires, even if my service expired. And so what I'm saying is only trying to honor all those veterans who are in a memorial grave right now, who do not get to speak. But we're going to bring that up. So I'm going to tell you by law and order how Donald John Trump is still your president, by law and order. We're not going to focus on voter fraud. We're not going to focus on all these things over here. We're not going to focus on that. By laws and orders. We are a nation of laws and orders. Okay? So it's just going to be a real intimate setting, and I'm going to try to make it more of a teaching thing. So if we have to go to different segments and things like that, just explaining. So now, I'm not sure why any other platform is not telling you what's going on. I personally think that if every platform, I'm not going to call names, but I think if every platform that have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers that what they're doing right now is like Hansel and Gretel. You remember that child story where it's Hansel and Gretel and they throw you a crumb every now and then just to keep you hanging on? That's not what we need right now. We're in a nation right now where gas prices are high, food, inflation, taxes. Well, there's a reason behind that. It's an optic, and I'm going to teach you about optics. So you're going to have to hang with me here. So this is going to be a pretty long video, but I'm going to spill it all. So it's like To Kill a Mockingbird. When Harper Lee wrote To Kill a Mockingbird, they asked her why she never wrote another book, and she said because her father was an attorney who was on an actual case of what happened in the book. Because her father was a part of that, she wrote that book for that very incident. And she said, I said what I needed to say. So it don't matter how many times I could film this video. I could film this video 400 times in a row, as my guy back here hopes we don't do that. But we could do this 400 times in a row, and this video is going to be the same every single time, because laws and orders aren't going to change that are in the law books from 2017 to 2021. They're not going to change. But those laws and orders are why we're here right now. They're what is happening right now. It's a delayed effect. And I'm going to show you how President Trump is still your president based off of those laws and orders. It's important to understand the origin. And you see things going on. A lot of you know something ain't right. You know something is a little off, and you're not getting enough pictures. You're not getting enough images. You're not getting enough videos. You're not getting enough information. You know something is off. You feel like you're blinded. You feel like you're in the blind. And I wish other platforms would tell you what's going on. If they would teach you law and order first, if they would show you law and order, military law, military regulations, military operations, military symbolisms, military symbols, okay, military operations. If it's visual for you like the flight app I watch every day, then it's not secretive. And every single order that Donald Trump signed into law, he held up on TV that day, and it went into a federal registry. All you would have had to done was go over and read. But no, we've become a lazy nation. We've become a spoiled nation. We become a nation that don't care anything about our privileges. That's all we care about is our privileges. All football and golf and movies and everything else. We have put education on the back burner. We have put our foundation on the back burner. And we can't have that anymore. We have to teach people law and order. Our nation is a nation of laws and orders. It's that simple. Okay, so I'm going to go through this segment here, and I'm going to tell you every single thing, just like Harper Lee, one video. And all these other platforms are going to have to answer to you as to why they have not taught you law and order, why they haven't shown you these executive orders, why they haven't shown you this blueprint that makes up this operation that's going on, because it is the most biblical, monumental, and historical covert operation in world history to date. It is, and it's happening right in front of you. It's right in front of you. By laws and by orders, it's right in front of you. Okay, so I'm gonna dip in right now. Okay, here's why though active duty and National Guard cannot tell you what's going on. So if you have a loved one who's fighting right now, if you have someone who's active duty, National Guard, any kind of military branch, they took an oath. They're also under an NSA, so they cannot tell you by oath. They cannot tell you what's going on. It will violate the mission that they're on. They know a lot more of what's going on every single day in these missions. As you see these aircraft in the sky that I've been showing you, they know exactly what's going on. The military is a lot bigger than most people can ever imagine. Even though we're 1% of the population, even though we're a small percentage who serve, we're down actually to less than 1% of our population serving in all branches of the military. So, you know, that's why I get perturbed when someone wants to come at me and say, are you sure? Are you crazy? Are you this? Well, I hope so. Well, I wish. Well, I hope you're right. Military law comes before anything. Our founders made it that way, and I'm going to show you that. So I hope those platforms out there will step up to the plate, and they have to answer. I hope you ask them, why haven't you taught us this? Why haven't you showed us this? Instead of stoling us crumbs here, and just dragging you along. We are a capitalist market, but right now it's not the time to be making a buck off of our freedom and off of our liberties. It's not the time for that. The time right now is for people like me. There's other veterans like me who have probably tried to tell a lot of you throughout your lifetime to understand your foundation, understand why you're in America, understand why you're right here today. Understand why your butt, my butt, is sitting in this chair right now telling you this. I have told this over and over and over and over again to friends and family. Over and over again. To the point they probably did think I was crazy and they weren't ever going to invite me anywhere else again, because they know I will set you straight. Military law comes before anything else. Our founders made it that way. All right, so I'm scrolling up. Also, for veterans, if you didn't know what was going on, and if you're one of those veterans who I've had conversations with who told me I didn't see what was going on, when I sit here and look at military law, which is the uniform code of military justice, okay? Military law, military regulations, military symbols, military codes, military optics, military operations, U.S. law, the Constitution, and U.S. codes. When all those things are happening right in front of you, when you've got law in the books, when you have law that's been in the books for many, many years, and then seeing operations and knowing that, okay, this personnel can't be doing this, and this National Guard can't be doing this, unless this. If you're a veteran and you could not tell non-regulation uniforms, you can't tell about National Guard being activated in federal duty, if you don't know any of that, I question your motives of why you joined the military. Now, this is not a attack veterans segment. It's not. But it's the very premise of why we're in this nation. Once again, why did I take an oath and raise my right hand to support and defend the Constitution of America? Why? If military law doesn't matter, if military regulation doesn't matter, if branch regulations don't matter, if military operations don't matter, missions, why? Why did I serve? Why did all these people right here, memorial bracelets, why did people don that uniform? Why did they take the fall for this nation? Why? If it doesn't matter, you have to explain to me, why are there so many graves in every memorial cemetery across this land? You have to explain that, and you have to tell me why they died in vain if military law doesn't matter. So when you come at me saying, I hope you're right about what I'm visually seeing right in front of me on my computer over here on a flight app, which is live all the time, if you're coming at me, a veteran who served for all the right reasons, you have to explain why every man and woman who ever died in this uniform, you have to explain how they died in vain to me. Okay? You have to explain that. That will be on your shoulder to have to explain. So that's why military law and military regulations and military symbols are very, very important. Very important. Many veterans went in for housing, paycheck, medical, dental, college, not just for themselves, but also for their children and their spouses. Okay? That's okay and all, but it's a privilege. Okay? When you raise your right hand and you take the oath, that's for you first. Okay? And if you get called up on any kind of mission, there shouldn't be any whining or griping or anything about that. But a lot of you, we know a lot of you who are in the military who whine and gripe the whole time. Okay? So at the end of the day, once again, when you take an oath to this nation, you're taking an oath to the nation. Okay? And I'm going to get to the oath down here. This is mind-blowing, I have to say. But this proves my point that so many people in America have become lazy, have become spoiled, have become self-entitled. Okay? So 75%, this is a rough average. You can go to Google. It's around 68 to 75%. Around 68 to 75% of America cannot name the three branches of government. Just name them. Don't tell me what they do. Just name the three branches of government. Okay? Then you've got 50% of America who can't take a blank map of the United States and fill in your state. Data shows that 50% of America cannot take a blank map and put in their state on the map. Oh, but we got to change our Facebook pictures. We got to put that little Ukrainian flag up there. And half of you can't even put Buckatawna, Mississippi on the map, but you can put your little Ukraine flag up. You couldn't find it on the map. If it came to your life, you couldn't find Ukraine. 99% of you. Okay? So that's where we are in America right now. So you have to understand that our foundation is the premises of why we're here. It is why we're talking. It's why we're having this conversation. It's why we're having these videos go viral. It's why we're having these conversations in the comment box. It's the very premise of why we're sitting here, right here today, shooting this film, okay, and truth bombing everything. laying it all out in one video. Because you can take every single thing in this video, every single thing in this video, you're going to be able to go to Google, type it in, and be able to tangibly look it up and read it in law, order, and regulations and symbols. You're going to be able to do that. So, moving forward. Military foundation. This is why this is so important. And through the years, we've had too many people, too many congressmen and politicians. You, the people, have to understand that we, the people, are probably the three most monumental words in all of our foundation. We, the people. All right? You have to understand that you have the power over Congress. Congress works for you. But you have to understand your foundation first. You have to understand why our founders wrote it that way. Then you have to understand the difference in government and politics. There's a huge difference. You pay taxes every day, don't you? You pay taxes every year, don't you? Don't you want to know where they go? Don't you want to know how they're allocated? Don't you want to know whose pocket they're going in, or if they're really going to the cause of what it's supposed to go to? Shouldn't you want to know that? Okay? And for too many years, we have let politicians run us versus the other way around. They work for you. They don't work. It ain't the other way around. And you got to get that straight. They work for you. But in order to understand that, you must understand that the military came first. The military, when you hear military, we're not talking about your cousin who's a private who just went through basic training and he just came out and you're all proud. That's okay and all. We're not talking about, when I say military, we're talking about the military generals. We're talking about the people in charge. We're talking about the Pentagon. We're talking about the generals, okay, who are in charge. A chain of command. So when I say military, you have to, when I say the word military, in charge, military, always knew. When you hear me say those lines, you have to understand that is the military generals. The smart, the brains of the military. That's who I'm talking about when I say the military. So you have to understand, military can act with or without Congress. And here's how, all right? Our military was founded first. The United States Army was founded June the 14th, 1775, all right? June the 30th, 1775, the first 69 articles of the Uniform Code of Military Justice was written and passed, okay? The Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is what? Military law, all right? Then the Navy, October 13th, 1775. Then the Marines, November the 10th, 1775. Do you realize what that is? That is long before July the 4th, 1776, and also long, long before September 17th, 1787, the Constitution, okay? So look at when the military was founded. Our founders wanted a military first. They said we need a swift army of the sea and a swift army on the ground, okay? They knew a border protection. They knew that the border and having borders protected was a priority, okay? They knew because of where they fled from. That's why it's important to understand where they fled from and how they got to the new land, okay? So the military, the oath of enlistment, let's get back to it, and then we'll get to a little further. The oath of enlistment, when you raise your right hand, it says, I, Derek Johnson, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. It didn't say defend and support. It says support and defend. You have to support something before you can defend it, okay? And then it goes on to say what? And bear true faith and allegiance to the same. True faith and allegiance. 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 True faith and allegiance to the same. So the same, meaning you will support and defend it with true faith and allegiance. Basically to your death if you have to. And I will do what? Well, it says also against all enemies, both what? Foreign and domestic. It don't say foreign or domestic. It says foreign and domestic. Okay? So that's Title 10 of the Constitution. Title 10 of the Constitution. Okay? So you got all these politicians through the years. They want to misuse, misconstrue, and overuse all of the words of our founding fathers to fit their narratives, okay? While you, the people, just through the years, lackadaisical, dropping off, not reading what matters, not reading it, not reading it, not reading it, not reading it. Then when you meet someone like me, it's foreign territory for your ears and your brain. It's foreign territory. And here I am, a veteran. I served under the same UCMJ that every other soldier swears into. It's the same oath. It's the same military law. It's the same military regulations. It's the same everything. It's same thing. Every single soldier that's ever been in a uniform served under the same UCMJ. Same law. The other reason why it's important to understand about the military coming before the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence is this. All right. So they fought a little while before they declared the Declaration of Independence. And when they declared the Declaration of Independence, I don't think many people have thought what I've thought about before. Maybe a few have, but I have said this a long time. They declared independence 7 years before the war was over. They declared independence before the war was over. 7 years before the war was over. All right. And it was another 4 years before the Constitution came about. All right. So think about how big that was. That meant they were going to fight until they won the war. They were hell-bent and determined to win that war, to declare independence 7 years before the war was over. That's very, very big. And I don't know how many people thought of that, but I hope I put that bug in your ear to think about that, how monumental that was. Okay? And they're fighting with the same UCMJ, the same military law. All right? That's very important to understand. All right? The other thing to understand is the commander-in-chief versus president. All right? Two separate laws, two separate roles, two separate duties. Commander-in-chief is commander-in-chief over the UCMJ and military law. All right? The president is president over civilian, federal law. They don't crisscross. All right? We have a chain of command for a reason. All right? It's very important. And, you know, you don't have to be in the military to understand that. You don't have to. It's very simple. All right? And some people have heard that for the first time in some of my videos. But that's why we have a disconnect between military and between civilians. All right? Not everybody in the military went in the military because that was the only thing they could do. Okay? Let me just throw that truth bomb out there. All right? A lot of us have some pretty high test scores. My test scores were in the upper echelon, general level scores. Okay? And we're not supposed to brag on ourselves, but at the same time, I mean, we're trying to tell you, we've been trying to tell you for years. A lot of us have been trying to tell you, hey, you got to learn the Constitution. You need to learn military law. You need to learn the foundation of our nation. You gotta separate all this propaganda and all this stuff, this riffraff. You got to be able to discern the difference of government and politics. You have to. You have to understand why we fight. You have to understand why we're different. Veterans, we're just different. You know, we're probably the biggest fraternity in the world, and we love each other. And it don't matter what kind of walk of life you are, we can get along, okay? But most veterans, there's a lot of veterans still out there that do know what I know. I'm getting a lot of messages, a lot of texts. Thank you for what you're saying. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for having the spine. You know, but every one of us has to have that. Every single one of us, because everything I'm telling you is law and order. It's not something Derek Johnson made up. I didn't make this up. And I'm so pissed. I'm pissed and angry and mad that there are platforms out there that are just Hansel and Gretel. Here you go. Here's a crumb today. Just keep you hanging on. And then, hey, my subscription is $110. Hey, my subscription is $150. Hey, you know, I mean, really? Are you serious? I mean, it's one thing if you got a t-shirt that has something cool on it. You know, that's one thing where it's like this movement you're creating like that. But a lot of these guys, they're just guessing. All right, they're getting it from someone else and they're running with it. All right, I'm calling you guys out. I'm calling you platforms out. Because what I'm telling you, it could be the same video, 400, 500, 2 million, 70 million. It's the same video over and over. Because it's law and order. It's what actually happened right in front of every single person. It happened right in front of you, not just Americans, but the world. It happened right in front of you. Okay, so you have to understand that. The other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to troll hard right here. I'm going to get on my hi-hat right here. I'm going to get on my soapbox right here. All right, and I hope you're watching. And I'm really going to stare right into the camera at you, because I hope that this makes it to you somehow. I hope it makes it to you, Mr. Colin Kaepernick, Mr. I suck at football. You suck at football, so you had to become this quote-unquote activist. Last I checked, you choked, okay? You choked. You also choked at being an activist, and I'm going to tell you how. You know, it's important to understand you made your fame on an American football field. You made your fame on an American football field, all right? And I'm going to tell everybody that followed this clown why you're wrong, okay? This is why you're wrong. The number one reason why you're wrong is that if you want socialism in this country, or fascism, or communism, or any other ism, guess what? You have 200 plus other options out there that you can go get. They have been well established in it. You can take your happy butt right now and fly anywhere you want to go. There's plenty of isms everywhere else. All right. But America is the only place that's like it. If I want to go somewhere like America, guess what my option is to stay right here and fight. And that's what you're facing. You're going to fight patriots like me first. Hopefully, we're going to fight and do this like what's going on right now, where it's not so visual, where it's being controlled, as I'm going to get to later. But if we have to get on the battlefield again, you're going to face people like me. You're going to face people who are well trained and well prepared. We've been waiting for this a long time. It's like a post that I saw not long ago, probably 2 years ago. It was another veteran, and it went viral. And he said, Americans, civilians, we're warning you right now. Veterans are warning you right now. Y'all better get your crap together before we have to come in and step in. Because if we have to step in, we're going to clean this up quick. And it ain't going to be pretty. And some of you ain't going to like it. A lot of you won't understand it. But we will clean it up quick. That's one reason right there. The other is the fact that, Mr. Clown, you had a guy sitting beside you that supposedly was Special Forces, and he's talking about your freedom of speech, okay? He has the freedom of speech, and I support him. You're in uniform. First off, you want attention, and you're disgracing the uniform, sitting on TV and talking about freedom of speech, okay? Last I checked, you're not supposed to abuse your uniform because people die in that uniform, okay, Mr. Special Forces, okay? People could question me that didn't serve with me, even though I don't have to show you my DD-214, but I do question someone like that because it goes against military law, it goes against military regulations, okay, and especially the honor code and your oath, all right? So when you get on TV and you talk about it's his freedom of speech, well, guess what? When my freedom of speech backs up the foundation of this nation and the Constitution of this nation, all right, when mine does that, mine trumps yours, all pun intended, okay, all pun intended. So you have to understand what you're watching, people, when you see stuff like that, because it doesn't back the Constitution. Marbury versus Madison, I've already quoted it, 1803. It specifically says, once again, any statute that bears the appearance of law that does not back the Constitution is null and void. Okay, so when you heard all that garbage going on, just shut up and play football. Because I'm going to tell you what right now, because if you're sitting there like me, a veteran like me, okay, a patriot like me, who knows our foundation, I'm about to troll you and I'm about to teabag you, Mr. Colin Kaepernick. Because here's why. No coincidence. June the 14th, 1777. What's that sound like? What did I just say? Earlier, June the 14th, 1775, the Army's birthday. Oh, and just happens to be who else's birthday? Donald John Trump. Man upstairs, he knows what he's doing. June the 14th, 1777. Guess what happened? Remember Mr. Colin Kaepernick talking about how the flag didn't mean what it meant anymore? And it was a disgrace to people and things like that. And he was ashamed to be an American and what that flag was supposed to represent. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Colin Kaepernick, where the flag originated. The flag just happened to have been sworn into Congress on June the 14th, 1777, the birthday of the Army, the very first branch of our nation. And guess where the very first flag flew, Mr. Colin Kaepernick? The very first flag flew at the Battle of Oriskany, okay? And it was one of the bloodiest battles of the Revolutionary War, okay? And guess when it actually went into flight? June the 14th, 1777 is when it was sworn into Congress, and it first flew August the 3rd, 1777. Do your math out there. Just a little over 50 days later, okay? So, one of the bloodiest battles in the Revolutionary War. And to this day, this very day, where the Battle of Oriskany was, there is a maritime college. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. I'm showing you some optics before we get to the actual optics and the meat of what is happening right now. So remember that word, maritime, okay? So the other thing about the flag, Mr. Kaepernick, was in the Battle of 1812, or the War of 1812 as we call it, when the British revolted and we whooped their butts again, Major George Armistead at the Battle of Baltimore, he ordered a flag so large that the British didn't have trouble seeing what was coming. And it was the same flag that Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner about, as he woke up the next morning and he visually witnessed that same flag flying. He was a witness of that, which is the inspiration of why he wrote that song. So let me tell you something, Mr. Colin Kaepernick. No. You're not a mister. Let me tell you something, Colin, and anybody who follows him, because I have the balls to say it. The flag represented the military first, not the people. The people adopted the flag because they appreciate the military. So sit on that. Now I'm going to tell you how Donald John Trump is still your president by laws and orders. Military laws, military orders, military regulations, military optics, military symbols, U.S. Constitution, U.S. laws, and U.S. codes. It's all happened already. Everything I tell you has already happened. It's already in the law books. And I'm going to get on my high horse again. I don't understand why the platforms are not telling you that. If you would understand this simplicity thing, the simple laws and orders. Our nation is a nation of laws and orders. If they would teach you this, then you might be able to understand everything they post every single day. And then you'll be able to differentiate the difference in politics and government. Discern propaganda and government. Okay? And I'm not talking about the kind of government that we all have been seeing in the sense of like Reagan talked about. I'm not talking about that part. I'm just talking about the politics and what government's supposed to look like based on the Constitution and Marbury versus Madison, 1803. So I'm going to put in some optics here that Donald Trump did for you, and then bring it into the meat of the section. Okay, so in 2012, 13, 14, 15, that's when I was serving in the military. Okay, so I knew a lot of stuff that a lot of people wasn't hearing. Okay, and I kept my oath. I never said anything to anybody. None of us did that I know of. And you know, that's what you're supposed to do in the military, is honor your oath, and plus you're under an NSA, so you're not supposed to be telling anybody anything. There's a lot of things I didn't tell my own family. There's a lot of things that I didn't tell my own mama and my own daddy. There's a lot of things that I just told them now. It's been 7 years. 7 years out of the military, there's some things I just now told them, okay, because some things were declassified, so I started talking about it. There were some things that I know about that even some of my own people I served with didn't know about, because of some certain things. So you had to be watching though. You can't just follow something one day, put it down, say I'm tired of it, I hate politics or whatever it is, You got to follow this every day. You got to know someone who lives and breathes this every day. You can't get on your Facebook and your social medias and whine and complain about gas and taxes and inflation if you're not willing to listen to, especially someone who's a veteran who has nothing but your great interests at heart because of military law, military regulations, U.S. law, the Constitution, and then also the reason why you serve in uniform. Once again, you can pay the ultimate sacrifice. Okay? So why did I serve? Why did my buddies serve? Why are people serving right now if none of it matters? If they would die, if they die in that uniform, well, why would it matter if military law doesn't matter? So that's what you got to understand. So you have to visually watch this stuff all the time. That's why we can't get lackadaisical anymore as a nation. We can't get where we are now. The reason why we are where we are now is because people don't read anymore. People want to text, you know, girls, females, they want to text to get to know you, you know, and then they get upset because oh, you said something harsh. No, it's just my personality. I'm not being harsh. I'm just, you know, you don't hear texture anymore. You don't hear emotions, expressions. You don't hear, right? Everybody's here right now. Text. Email. That's hard to say all in a row. Email. Everybody's just, the marketing data over here, marketing data will tell you that the average attention span of America is about 2 minutes long. And Americans have told me, look, this is a long spiel. This is a long video, but we're talking about a 200+ year problem just in America alone. But this goes way back. This really goes further than that. But I'm not going to get into all that. I'm just going to tell you why Donald Trump is still your president by law and order. But we're not going to get into how far this goes back. But Americans want a 3-minute explanation on a 200-year problem. And it cannot be solved like that. It cannot be that way. And I've had people I know tell me to, well, just get to the point. Just get to the point. I don't want to hear all this stuff. Just get to the point. I can't just get to the point. And then when I do lay it out to people who do want to hear, then I've had people fall asleep on the couch in front of me. I've had people, you know, they just zone out. And that's where we are today. So it is a lot of information. Yes, it is. And it takes a special kind of brain and a special kind of mind to be able to take it in and to multitask it, to be able to balance all this stuff out and understand how to lay it out in a blueprint, which is what I'm going to do for you. But it takes study. Okay, you got to study. Study. Read. Research. In my Google Docs that I talk about on my videos, in my Google documents, like I've told every single person that has been on them, they'll send me a message. They'll send me a text and ask me a question that's been in my Google documents for 2 years. I said, well, you must have not have read my documents because it's been in there for 2 years now. I can tell when you're reading or not. And I've got every link known to man. .gov, .mil, and .us. There ain't some wacky site that goes to some guy in his basement in, you know, Buckatona, Mississippi. Okay? It ain't like that. Okay? It's got, when you're reading through there, I say, hey, when you're reading this segment, there's a link there. Click on it. Go read that. Okay? Take your time. Go back to the document. Pick up where you left off. All my documents are in a part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4. Then there's one called the military inauguration, and there's 2 called aircraft operations. Those are all pictures. You know, at least you're just looking at pictures. Okay, there's over 1,000 or more pictures. Well, there's 1,000 pages. There's a lot more pictures on those pages. So you have to read, you have to research, you have to click on those links. But you have to keep up with this daily, weekly, monthly. You have to keep up with this. You can't be a dime store politician or a dime store patriot. You have to keep up with this every single day. And that's how we're going to sustain in America, is when you learn the laws and the orders and the foundations and what matter. That's how we're going to sustain, and that's how we're going to have a future, is when you learn that. Okay, you don't have to learn every date. You don't have to learn things like that. You don't have to know every date of every war. You don't have to know every date of anything like that. You don't have to know the dates of these you know, executive orders and things I'm about to talk about. You don't have to know that, okay? But you just have to know the general premises. And when you go down to the voter booth, you have to understand that that person you're voting for works for you. 435 members of Congress. Let that sink in. 435 members of Congress work for 335 million people. It ain't the other way around, okay? 435 members of Congress control your life. No, you control them. You tell them what you want. You tell them what's going on in your communities. You blow their phones up. You blow their emails up. And we don't do that anymore. Americans don't do that anymore. And that's why it looks like it does. Until the military stepped in, which is what I'm getting to. So you have to look at optics. You have to understand what optics are. No, if you weren't in the military, 99% of you have never heard the word optics until this day. Okay, so I'm going to help you understand what optics are. Donald John Trump, okay, June the 18th. There's June again. June has a lot of significance in our history also. June. The Declaration of Independence was actually written in June but didn't pass until July the 4th. So important to know that. June the 18th, 2014, Donald John Trump tweeted, "May God have mercy upon my enemies because I won't." General George S. Patton. He quoted a general. June the 18th, 11:45 p.m., 2014. All right. So he was laying down optics. And I know for fact that the military went to Donald Trump in 2012. This went into planning in 2012. It's a long time ago in one way. All right. So I didn't say that on my other videos. 2012. He's laying down optics. The OPEC speech was, I think it was 2015, okay? He was already laying down optics for you, okay? 2016 campaign trail. This is where it gets good, all right? On stage, this is optics. The military was already planning this. They had all these Republicans on stage. They had all these guys running for president, all right? Jeb Bush. You're going to find out the Bushes are corrupt too. Truth bomb. You're going to find out the Bushes are corrupt too. Jeb Bush asked President Trump a question. Well, candidate Trump at the time. Asked candidate Trump this question. Said, who's going to back you? Who's going to support you? And who's going to vote for you? And I love people who are smart asses. All right, because a lot of smart asses are unfiltered like me, and we just tell you what you need to hear versus what you want to hear, okay? And President Trump specifically looked at Jeb Bush, then he looked over at the moderator and he said, look, that's a loaded question. That's more than one question, so I need time to answer that. One, who's going to vote for me? Americans are tired of bullshit politicians like you. Every one of you on this stage have served in office no less than 4 years. And every one of you gets on this stage and you look out to the camera here and you tell the people what they need to hear and what they want to hear. But you never back up anything. You get in office and you never do anything of what you said you would do. And people are tired of that. Everything I say I'll do, I'll do. And you can mark that. Who's going to support me? Who's going to back me? I have over 200 generals right now backing me. All right. Woo. Boom. There's a bomb right there. Because military knows this. Recently, I sat with an 84-year-old Marine. My family sat me with him at a church, and there were people gathered around. And I started telling him what was going on that I've told all of you. And his eyes lit up, and he sat up in a chair like this, and he sat up, and he said, it's happening, it's happening. I'm like, yes, sir, it is, it's happening. And he was like, you people hear 200 generals, and you think 200 individuals. What you hear this young man saying is what they called a conspiracy theory all these years. The left and different people called it a conspiracy theory, because that was developed and that was said during JFK's time, okay? 200 generals said never again would they ever let another incident like JFK happen in our nation if they can take over this country and reset it on its foundation. Never again would they let that happen. 200 generals said that they would take this country over if they ever got strength in numbers. Okay? And the other thing I told the Marine, I said, hey, it's not 200 generals though. It's 800 generals. His eyes got even bigger. And the thing that he was explaining to the people sitting around us, you hear 200 generals and 800 generals. It's not 800 individuals. That is 800 generals and their divisions, okay? And there's 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers in each division. So 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers with every general. Okay, then you have National Guard, then you have state militias, then you have civil patrols, you have defense contractors and veterans. And we're all a part of this too. Because what? Our oath. We took an oath to this nation. We took an oath. And the Q just dropped the Q a few weeks ago. A Q drop. Remember your oath. Are you ready to fight for your country again? I know I am. I've been ready. So the oath of enlistment, that's where the oath of enlistment comes back. Title 10 of the Constitution. You raise your right hand, you took an oath to fight for your country. Okay? So all of us are a part of this. And veterans, if we get called up, we can still do that. We can act. Okay? That's why you, the people, have to understand why you should respect veterans. It's not that we want you to respect us from the standpoint of, hey, pat me on the back and hey, thank me for my service. No, it's in cases like this where right in front of your eyes, law and order took place. Once again, I'm going to beat this thing like a drum. Every single thing that I tell you happened right in front of you via law and order, which is a premise of our nation. It's the very premise of our nation. All right, so while all of these platforms aren't telling you that, it would make it so easy for everybody. When I started teaching my mother this, when I started telling my buddies this, it made it so easy for them, even though it's a lot of information. But I'm patient enough to say, this is what's going on. But here's why someone like me had to come and put it on a camera. It's because think of this spiel that I'm giving you. Think of how long this video is. My voice, as a country music artist, my voice already wears out when I'm on the stage alone. And so we have to prepare when we go into the studio. Rest your voice, rest your voice, rest your voice. So imagine me going to every single household and laying all this out to every single household. That couldn't be done. It couldn't be done. So I decided, since so many buddies were saying, man, if you'll just come out and say this, people need to hear this. So here I am. Every single thing that Donald John Trump said verbally, everything that he said has come to fruition, whether it was optics, visual in the sense of paper, or just verbal, okay? Law, in the law books. Every single thing that Donald Trump said has come to fruition. Every single thing. Every single thing. Optics. I'm going to mix optics even more. We're going a little bit deeper. Even deeper than what happened on the campaign trail. Going to go in a little deeper. Okay. October 2016 at the Al Smith charity dinner, Donald Trump roasted, flat out roasted Hillary Clinton. And every single thing that he said to her, it's on YouTube. You can look that up now, or you can get on my Google Docs, and I got the links in there. You can find it there. But every single thing he said at that charity dinner to Hillary has come true, and is still going to come true. Every single thing that he has said has come to fruition. And that video of him roasting Hillary will be visual in not too long. You don't have too much longer to wait. It will be visual. And here's why. When President Trump won in 2016 and was inaugurated in 2017, he specifically said all of these things. We have it all. We've caught them all. The crimes and evidence will be displayed to the public in full accordance to the law. Now, I have a follower who just started following me in this, and she said, every time you say law and order, we ought to play a drinking game. All right, so I'm not encouraging you to drink, but maybe you're drinking something as good as Bart's root beer right here, and maybe we'll get a sponsorship off of this, but maybe you can do something like, you know, something where you don't get wasted and slammered, okay? But every time I say law and order, we'll take a virtual shot. How about that? Donald Trump said every crime and evidence will be displayed to the public in full accordance to the law. He also said in October 2017 in a press conference, there's a storm coming, wait for it. What are you talking about, Mr. President? Wait for it. You'll see. Every single thing he said it right in front of you. And a lot of you that follow drama, and you get into all this, oh boy, y'all get on these comment boxes, and everybody on Facebook now, the comment box has always got to have one troll. One person who thinks they know everything, one person who's trolling somebody, one person who's putting a funny meme up, one person, you always got to have, everybody's just got to be that person. Everybody's got to have that little voice, and everything's like that, okay? Everybody. A lot of you just love drama. And a lot of you thought that Donald Trump was just being Donald Trump, the Donald Trump of The Apprentice, and the Donald Trump in the movies, and that Donald Trump. See, you weren't paying attention to law and order and the things that mattered already, okay? You weren't paying attention. So let's back up a little bit. I'm going to tell you first why America looked the way it did, and then what Donald Trump did. So you have to be able to differentiate these. This is that thing where you have to discern the difference and understand what you thought of America, and then what Donald Trump actually did right in front of you. That was so monumental. It was so different than any 4 years in presidential history. Okay? Different. So you have to understand in law. Take your virtual drink. Remember, virtual drink. In law. The United States became a corporation. All right? And the left have called that a conspiracy theory. It's not. Because why? It's in the law books. Okay? Stoutenberg versus Hennick. Okay? Not going to spell that for you. You can find that in the links, or you can see it right here beside me on the screen. Okay? It's all in law books. It's not a conspiracy theory. So you have to be able to understand law. Virtual drink. Law. The U.S. became a corporation. History will try to tell you, if you get on Google, it'll try to tell you that Ulysses S. Grant went bankrupt in his personal life. He bankrupted America. Okay? He signed a treaty of 1871, which put us back with the British. Didn't we fight the British to gain our independence? I'm pretty sure we did. I'm pretty sure I know my history. How about you? Okay? We fought the British, and we're signing a treaty back with the British. Okay? Simultaneously, the District of Columbia became its own foreign territory. All right? It specifically says in law. I got the links. Don't worry. You don't have to pause this to figure this out and to go Google this, but you can find this. The District of Columbia became its own country. You can see it on my flight app. You can see the border around it. You can see the grid around it. Okay, that's also why it has a restricted airspace, which we'll talk about later. Okay, but the District of Columbia, it has its own seal. Okay, it's all in law. Then, guess what else happened? 1871. What was created? The bar exam. You've heard all your attorneys talk about the bar. Oh, I got to take the bar exam today, the bar exam today, the bar exam today. What does the bar stand for? British Accreditation Registry. Now, why in the hell are our attorneys registering up under the British Accreditation Registry? Okay, that's why you should also understand maritime law and admiralty law. And you should also understand when you step in a courtroom, you lose all your power. Okay, you lose all your power. You have an attorney that speaks on your behalf. The attorney is the only person who can speak to the judge, unless the judge is talking to you. But other than that, it's the attorney who corresponds with the judge. You are powerless in a courtroom. And that's why you have to understand the British Accreditation Registry. It has no support of Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Everything from 1871 to present day was a corporation. And the corporation's motto is what? The corporation's motto is create a problem we already have a solution to. And you've witnessed that all in your lifetime, no matter how old you are. No matter how old you are, you've seen that in your lifetime. You have witnessed. They get on stage and they tell you something. They tell you in a derogatory manner, but in a real sly manner. Great speech writers for sure. But they tell you something, oh, America can't handle finances on their own. So this, right there. Obama was in a speech not terribly long ago. Great opted. I've got the link in my documents. You can watch it, so don't worry. We will get you added on there. You will get to watch those. I've got the speech, and it's a perfect example of create a problem we already have a solution to. It's them telling you something that you cannot do, that's setting you up for something they're going to do to you, where you see, oh wow, chaos and division equals power acquisition. All right? So everything you've witnessed in your lifetime, no matter how old you are, you've seen it firsthand. Chaos and division. Okay? Certain groups, they'll talk to these certain groups over here, and this group gets left out. Then they'll come cater to this group, and this group gets left out. That's not what America's about. We have a system in place. Our founders fought for a system. The Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, okay? Bill of Rights, all right? Marbury versus Madison, 1803. Everything from 1871 to present day. Division, chaos, wars for money, all right? A lot of dirty, corrupt, filthy bullcrap to pad the pockets of politicians. Not people like me who would give my life for you no matter what. I can say that because I've already signed that dotted line. My buddies can say that because they've already signed that dotted line. We've already put that on stamp. We've already inked that. We've already walked in those boots. Okay? Buddy right here, he did pay the ultimate sacrifice. Okay? So, military law. I'm going to say it and say it and say it and say it. Like I said, I'm going to say it. This video could be said 300 different ways. But the only thing that would never change, once again, is laws and orders. So here's why Donald John Trump is still your president. Okay? You have to understand that military, when I say military, like I said earlier, we're talking about the generals. All right? Military, even though we're less than 1% of the population, we still, you guys, you Americans that didn't serve, you get on your post on Veterans Day, you get on your post on July the 4th, or you see one of us in uniform, or you meet a veteran and you pat us on the back and you say, oh, we're the most badass military in the world. You guys are awesome. You guys rock. Blah, 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 blah. Okay? But when it comes to military law and military regulations, you know, when a guy like me is trying to tell you what's going on by those, it's hard to comprehend that even though we're less than 1%, the military is still pretty big. There are so many different divisions. There's so many different MOSs, and each branch has a lot of MOSs, a lot of military occupational specialties, okay? Every branch has all these guys. Some of us work together. Some of us get attached together. We all work together at some capacity. Now, we're the only ones who can joke with each other about each other, but we all work together at some capacity, okay? But you have to understand military intelligence. The reason why we are the most elite military in the world is because of intelligence. It's because of our brains in the military. It's because of people who live and breathe the military. It's because of people who live and breathe laws and orders and regulations, symbols, optics, operations. It's all right in front of you. And Donald Trump, a lot of you are going to find out that Donald Trump did everything in full accordance to the law, both laws, military law and federal law. Now, I understand the questions I've received and the comments I've received about how come this couldn't have happened a long time ago. Well, you know what? Anybody could say that. All that matters is it's happening right now. Anybody can always say that. Anybody could say, well, why didn't they do this then? Why didn't they do that then? What? Well, if you're acknowledging it, at least you're acknowledging that it's happening, right? So at least got you there. What you got to understand, don't worry about any of that. Just know that it's happening. And now seek to understand why is this happening. And I'm going to show you. I'm going to lay it all out there. I'm going to troll every platform. Every platform should have been already telling you this. Sorry platforms out there, but I'm not sorry. Because why am I not sorry? Military law, military regulations, and when people die in that uniform, now is not the time to be making a buck off your platform. Now is the time to be telling the people what's going on. Now is the time to be rallying the patriots. Now is the time to be educating people. Now is the time to be bringing people together, okay? Not this crumb here, crumb there, okay? All right, President Trump, you're gonna find out, the man took one for the team. He sat back over here. So here's what happened though. Before you think you saw what you saw, you really didn't. All right, and I'm going to show you. So here we go. There's a blueprint to all this, and it's beautiful. So, I can quote President Trump. It's beautiful. Okay, I think he said it something like that. One of the very first executive orders that Donald Trump signed was Executive Order 13799, which is the establishment of Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. Imagine that. That was 2017. All right. So what you got to understand, this is a teaching moment here. We're going to take time. This video is going to be long, so we're going to take time to teach you. What you got to understand is that was in 2017. The Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. No, that's not what it says, Derek. It says the establishment of Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. That's what it says. The establishment of. We're establishing election integrity in 2017, which meant what? Before we get to what happened November the 3rd, 2020, I'm going to go ahead and drop the truth bomb right here, is that the military generals and our military intelligence already knew that Hillary didn't dump enough votes in 2016. Ooh, did I just say that? Yes, I did. Yep, I just ruined all of these platforms out there, okay? Why didn't they tell you that? It's real simple. That's an executive order. That is, presidential signed that. He signed that on TV and held it up. Held it up for you to read, and it went into a federal registry. All you had to do is go read that. You had to read every single one that he signed. It was right in front of you, okay? It was up to you to go read that, okay? They already knew Hillary did not dump enough votes. That's why she nearly lost her gasket that night. That's also why she didn't show up to her, her fans and her people, and to congratulate Donald John Trump. Instead, no, they deleted all this footage, but some of you will remember. Some of you will remember this, that there was a private video someone called of her. Oh, it got deleted real fast. She was doing, he knows it all. He knows everything. Yes, he does. And guess what also happened? I've got the video. I've got the video of Obama reading the tweet that Donald Trump said about President Obama. And President Obama reading it. Well, it said that, tweeted that President Obama was one of the worst presidents in history. And Obama said, well, at least I will go down as a president in history. Yep. Yeah, you will. You're going right on down to Gitmo. That's where you're going. So, Hillary didn't dump enough votes. Then she loses her gasket. Okay? They knew all that. Why? Look at Lou Dobbs. Shout out Lou Dobbs. Okay? Lou Dobbs was on CNN before he was ever put on Fox News, before he was ever hired by Fox. He was on CNN. All right? 2008, he was fired by CNN for saying on air that the future elections by the Dominion systems, that the Dominion systems would have a major implication on cheating with those systems for elections on every level, not just presidential level. He was fired for making that comment. Okay, so you had to have been following all that. Hillary did not dump enough votes. They never gave President Trump a chance. They didn't know how many votes to dump. Okay, they didn't know how many would not look too skewed, but just be right there where it was like a slim margin, where it would look what? Authentic. Okay, where it wouldn't look too skewed, like statisticians said on the 2020 thing. Okay, we'll get to that in a minute. Okay, here we go. This is probably the most monumental piece of paper in history to date outside of the Declaration of Independence. Everybody I know that's already heard this loves when I break this one down. Executive Order 13848, signed September the 12th, 2018. All right. Inside that order, Donald John Trump did 4 different things. And I'm going to read them to you, that way they're verbatim and word for word. All right. First, he issued a national emergency. 2, issued maritime law to go into effect. 3, he activated the Secretary of Treasury for any fraudulent transactions. 4, he established an election fraud committee with specific dates in it. Specific dates now. Now I'm going to go back and break that down. National emergencies. Here's what you got to understand about a national emergency. When a national emergency is issued, Congress must address, by law, by federal law, Congress must address that national emergency. All right? Not Congress 2 years down the road, not Congress 5 years down the road. That Congress must address that national emergency. It was never addressed. President Trump also issued 2 more national emergencies along with FEMA in 2020 that were also never addressed by that Congress. Those are very, very important to understand. Very, 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 very important to understand. Those national emergencies, he issued a national emergency in an executive order. The other 2 were verbal. Okay? Saw it on TV. He issued one right here in executive order. Executive Order 13848. Okay? The other thing, maritime law. All right, maritime law is the law of water. Okay, admiralty law. What do they call in the Navy? What do they call them? Admirals? Admiralty law, law of water. Okay, maritime law. Inside that order, along with the election fraud committee, all these coincide with each other. They all back each other. Okay, the election fraud committee, there were 2 specific dates in that order. And another key date. It said that this order, inside this order, signed September the 12th, 2018, was to activate, though, on November the 3rd, 2020. because those two dates in there specifically says 60 days after the election, this committee will report here, okay? And 60 days after that date, they will report here. How did Donald Trump know to write in an executive order September the 12th, 2018 to activate a national emergency, maritime law, on November the 3rd, 2020? How did he know? How did he know that? You, the American people, didn't start hearing the guys like me. We've been knowing, okay? But then the ones that have been listening to us, and they started telling their friends. So the early queuers and the early where we go one, we go all, the early birds, right, started hearing about voter fraud December 2020, okay? Everybody else hadn't started hearing about it till lately, when you got Dinesh's 2,000 mules and all this thing's popping up. I don't need 2,000 mules. No offense, Dinesh, and I know you're a good person. I don't need 2,000 mules. I got Executive Order 13848. I have Executive Order 13959. I have Executive Order 13799. I have Executive Order 13919. I have a bunch of executive orders that I'm about to go over. We don't need 2,000 mules. Americans wouldn't need 2,000 mules if they were paying attention to law and order. Things that he were got in his hand on TV, saying, I'm signing this today, Executive Order 13848, and this is what it's going to do. He was the most transparent president in history. He was on TV every single day for a reason. Optics. For a reason. You were supposed to be paying attention. Happened right in front of you. Okay? Not beating you up. Just saying. All these other platforms that are this. None of that stuff matters. If you'll learn this right here, if you'll learn law and order, then you can look at a news article and be able to pick out the optics just like that. If you learn law and order. Like I said, I could make this video 500 million times. It'd be the same video because it's law and order. These orders have been signed and they're still in activation because of something I'm going to show you in a minute. You got to understand that how big that was. How did he know? How did he know to do all those things in 2018 to activate in 2020, which November 3rd, 2020 to January the 6th, 2021, the other day we're going to talk about, wasn't that far off from each other. See how all this stuff adds up? They're not that far from each other. When you get over here now and look back at it, they weren't that far away from each other. Okay, so all these things add up. All these orders add up. You got to be able to read them, comprehend them, then look at them like the 40,000 foot view. Look at them all down here. And then when you see that blueprint, you can understand what happened right in front of you and what's going to happen. You won't even have to ask what is the end result. You're going to know. You're going to automatically know what the end results are. Military tribunals. But you're going to know. You're going to be able to see these things. Okay? Military knows everything. If you don't believe me, there's 772 pages alone of military tribunals. Have the links for that too. Also on election day, we'll skip ahead to November the 3rd, 2020 real fast. We'll bounce back and forth. But November the 3rd, 2020, 4-star General Nakasone tweeted that day, as tens of millions of Americans are going to the polls, we have the NSA and we have the Cyber Command watching all around the world with our partners, our team of partners, and I'm paraphrasing, okay? 4-star General tweeting on election day, talking about what have we learned from 2018? Well, what did we learn from 2018? Well, we had what? Those midterms, right? So we had Donald Trump's midterm elections. Okay, so in hopes we learn what we learned. So we're moving forward 2 years. The 4-star General is tweeting that. Okay, had all these things watching all over the world. Well, then you would have had to know who was watching all over the world. Who was watching all over the world? Once again, NSA, Cyber Command, but also that's all our military intelligence agencies. Okay, we also had at the Eisenhower building that night with President Trump, they had a skiff on location, a skiff. Okay, I'm gonna let you look all that up because I've got short on time, and we're gonna let you look that in the documents. Okay, that's not the key that matters. It's one of the keys. Okay, so moving along with that, Space Force. So Executive Order 13885 is 14 pages long alone. Donald Trump signed it. Okay, it's called the National Quantum Initiative. All right. It also signed a National Quantum Act. All right. Q, of all letters in the alphabet, Q, the Q. You hear us talk about the Q drops. The National Quantum Initiative and the Quantum Act. In September 2021, guess what launched? The quantum.gov. You can go look it up. It's all in the documents. Go look it up. Quantum.gov has 19 agencies. 17 of those are military agencies. All right. The number 17 is very, very, very significant in our movement. Okay. 17 gold fringed flags behind President Trump on January the 6th. 17 has appeared in a lot of places. That's an optic for you. Okay, and once you learn all this, you're going to start seeing 17 in a lot of places. And it's going to be like playing, you know, you're going to play the little Pokemon game where you find the character or whatever that is. I don't really understand that game, but it's something on that nature. Okay, so it's going to be one of those things where you're going to see 17 and go, oh, 17 seconds, 17 this, 17 that. It's really cool. You'll enjoy it. Okay, 17 flags. Okay, he also signed executive orders of artificial intelligence and also Space Council executive order and an executive order called the 1776 Commission. He signed all these executive orders. Okay, the other thing he did recently, all right, even though you don't know that yet, but as I tell you what happened, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that he did it because I know he did it. The military transferred all communications just last week. It's August the 26th. Just last week, he transferred all communications to the Space Force for one command. Okay, who got rid of the Air Force space program? I believe that was President Trump. And he did what? He established the what? The Independent Space Force. Okay, so if I'm a conspiracy theorist, then why is there an executive order? Why is there an act? And why is there a government website called the National Quantum Initiative? Okay, so that'll eliminate everything right there because that's automatic law. That's automatic law. That is in law. The site is actively running right now in 2022. Okay, it's not a conspiracy theory. If that's a conspiracy theory, then military law, military regulations, military operations, U.S. law, the Constitution, everything is false. None of it matters. If that's a conspiracy theory, because that's law too. So if these laws are laws, then that's a law. Why do we have a TV show called Law and Order? I mean, I know a lot of people who watch that. That's a law. If that's a conspiracy theory, then why is it in the law books as we speak? Why is it still active as we speak? It hasn't been shut down. It's right in front of you. Okay, so Executive Order 13959, President Trump signed. Okay, November the 12th, 2020. All right. It specifically says in that order, this date, after January 11th, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Whew, that's very specific. 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, January 11th. Anyone who uses stocks or funds to support the Chinese Communist Party, their assets will be frozen effective immediately. That's pretty harsh right there. And then, guess what you saw right after that? You saw Jeff Bezos step down from Amazon for philanthropy reasons. Yeah, right. Okay, you saw Bill Gates and his wife announce a divorce. Okay, you saw Warren Buffett leave the Bill Gates Foundation. You saw GameStop lose their rear ends. GameStop having commercials on the Super Bowl ads. Okay, there was another company that had a Super Bowl ad, was boring as all get out, because they were losing their rear end, okay? Then you have over 1,300 CEOs who have stepped down since that date and counting. You've had all these firings from CNN and everywhere else there's a lot of smaller news sources. People being fired, okay? Executive Order 13959, law. All right, Executive Order 13919, another key important one. This is going to hone back in on what happened after November the 3rd, 2020. Executive Order 13919. April the 30th, 2020, Donald Trump signed Executive Order 13919. It gives the Secretary of Defense authority to federalize, activate all reserve components, all 50 states' reserve components to federal duty. Okay? Well, you're going to see shortly when I hone that in, you're going to see that where it went into action. Okay? 2020. You got to remember the year 2020, not the year you thought you saw. Okay? But I'm going to tell you what really happened in 2020 really quick. Here's what really happened in 2020. All throughout that year, Trump had peace deals, monumental peace deals all over the world. Saudi Arabia crowned President Trump king, all right, in an official ceremony, okay? Crowned him king, all right? He also had, in 2017, he had moved the capital of Jerusalem. He moved it to Jerusalem and declared it capital of Israel, okay? Even though that wasn't 2020, but he made all these monumental peace deals with a lot of countries who were traditionally against Israel, okay? So you have to understand that. He made all these monumental peace deals, countries that were traditionally against Israel. He made monumental peace deals, all right? They deleted all that. You can't see that on YouTube and all these things. They deleted all these different things where you can't see that. So you have to rely on people like me who remember that. Okay, made these monumental peace deals. Well, while he's doing all these things, the left, Nancy Pelosi, Schiff, Schumer, all the left, all of 2020, they were saying, we have a nuclear option for Trump. We still have one move left if we have to use it. We have a nuclear option for Trump. Well, they were dead. They were dead in the Senate. Okay, so there was nothing they could do. At that time period, you got to go back and remember what was going on there in that time period. There's nothing they could do. Legislative wise, okay? So they had this nuclear option they kept saying. They kept verbally saying that, a nuclear option. Think of nuclear, okay? Explosion, yep, that could be a case, but think of something else that affected your life, your family's life, every single person. It affected every single person, and you should be pissed when you find out the truth about it. You should be sick to your stomach for the loved one that you lost or the friend that you lost. You should be pissed about it. But it was all right here, and you had to be able to see, we the people, you have to be able to see Marlboro versus Madison, who is actually for you or who is tricking you. Discernment is very powerful in this. You have to be able to understand that. Okay, you have to understand what you were witnessing. Nuclear option. On February the 4th, 2020, the State of the Union address, Donald Trump was the very first person to mention the word COVID. No one even heard it that night. Most people didn't even hear it because the State of the Union covers a lot of topics. Okay, he mentioned COVID first. Okay, everybody else, you Americans, a lot of you are focused on drama. Drama, drama, drama. You saw the women wearing white holding their arms up, and you saw Nancy Pelosi tearing the speech up. Everybody was focused on the wrong things, and people like me knew what was going on because we know law and order. We know how to separate all the propaganda and all the bull crap and look at what was actually happening and knowing this was building up. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people that are following me right now who know the cue. They've been following this for a long time. This didn't just start happening in the last couple of years. This has been a movement for a long time, okay? So it's just been building up, building up, building up. Strength in numbers, okay? So you had to know what was going on. President Trump was going to lay out this monumental deal, trade deal with President Xi of China, okay? So all these things, he said COVID, okay? and no one heard it. No one heard him say that. Then a couple weeks later, he grounded a plane in Houston, Texas. Okay, grounded a plane. And all these slurs came at him, and all what kind of hateful person he is, and all these different things. Everybody was focused on that. He was trying to tell people, hey, listen, what's about to happen, what's about to happen, what's about to happen. Okay? All right? So, you had to understand the nuclear option was COVID by the left. This was a plan. This was a rigged job. Okay? And I'm going to bring it all in with Ukraine and China. Going to show how all this coincides with each other. It all goes into certain things they were trying to distract you with. You had to be looking at things that matter. Law and order. In 2014, Barack Obama signed an executive order called the Quarantinable Communicable Diseases. Create a problem we already have a solution to. Chaos and division equals power acquisition. Executive order in 2014, Obama signed. Quarantinable communicable diseases. 2014. Not that long ago. Especially wasn't that long before this 6 years. That's not a long time in government. It's right in front of you. Powers of the president. Powers of the president. A president has certain powers that a lot of Americans don't know about, but can know about. Because why? It's in the Constitution. Okay, it's in U.S. codes. You can know about it. It's right in front of you. Right? It's in the law books. Virtual shot. In the law books. Okay. April the 10th, 2020. The New York Times wrote an article. President Trump has powers we're not allowed to know about. What could that be? He has all the same powers as every other president. Every president has the same powers. It's outlined in the Constitution. Okay? It's outlined in our foundation. Same powers. New York Times telling you that he has these powers that we're not supposed to know about. You can know about everything, and I'm going to show you those powers. Okay? He has the power to shut down broadcast and internet. So if he can shut them down, what else can he do? He can control what you're watching. And everything you're watching via mainstream news right now is an operation. It's a military operation. The military is in complete control of this nation. Okay? I'm going to show you how. So, powers of the president. You have to understand what the powers of the president are. All right? Commander-in-chief over military law. All right? Military regulations. All right? He has executive order power. He can issue national emergencies. He can issue presidential emergencies. He has the Insurrection Act of 1807, the Presidential Emergency Act, the Stafford Act, Marine Law 1834, Title 10, Title 32, 10, United States Code 246, 10, United States Code 12406, 47, United States Code 606, which is called War Powers of the President. What part? Do you know what a U.S. code is? A United States Code? That is tangible, that you can Google and look up. You can put in 47 United States Code 606, War Powers of the President, and go read in our Constitution the powers that the President has and what that code means. Okay? Which I'm going to show you what that code means. That code is 47 U.S. Code 606, and here's what it reads. I'm going to read it for you right here. It will be put on the screen, but I'm going to read it for you. The president is authorized whenever in his judgment the public interest requires to employ the armed forces of the United States to prevent any such obstruction or retardation of communication, provided that nothing in this section shall be construed to repeal, modify, or affect either Section 17 of Title 15 or Section 52 of Title 29. All right. The key word in that, January the 6th, January 17th, that's going to come up in a minute, employ the armed forces of the United States. Okay. Here's another power he has also under the same clause and title. Upon proclamation by the President that there exists war or a threat of war or a state of public peril or disaster or other national emergency, enclosing of facilities, government use of facilities. The President, if he deems it necessary in the interest of the national security and defense, can close down facilities and the government use of facilities. Why did they put those fences around the White House and the Capitol building? Why is White House and D.C. a ghost town right now? Why did Biden, who you think's president, why did he build another James S. Brady press room? How old is the White House again? How old is the Capitol building again? How come all of a sudden we can't use those buildings? Care to riddle me that? So let's go back up here. Let's fast forward. So now that you know that Hillary didn't dump enough votes, and you know that Donald Trump signed an executive order 13848 in 2018 that issued national emergency and maritime law to go into effect November the 3rd, 2020, he already knew what was going to happen on November the 3rd, 2020. They already knew what was going to happen, which is why he wrote that order 2 years prior to it. That's how monumental that is. Listen to that. 2 years prior to the election, he wrote that order and issued those. Okay? They already knew what was going to happen. Then you fast forward. You get to January the 6th. A lot of you don't realize that that is a constitutional process. January the 6th was just an extra step. It wasn't just, our founders didn't make it to where you just go vote and okay, here's voting day. Boom, here's our president. It's not like that. There's steps to confirming the president. January the 6th is a confirmation date by the Senate to confirm the president. Okay? So it's an extra step in our foundation. The Statute of 1845 tells when and how we vote. It's all in law. And until mail-in ballots, not absentee ballots, but mail-in ballots, until they are passed through federal law. What does Marbury versus Madison say again, 1803? Any statute that bears the appearance of law that doesn't back the Constitution is null and void. Okay? So, boom. And January the 6th, you all are distracted. You're all over here looking at this Nancy Pelosi and all that. A Speaker of the House. She's a House of Representatives. She's not that important. Speaker of the House. Okay. I'll tip the hat to that. But you're focused on things that don't even matter. You're watching this drama once again, not on law and order and what was going on. Okay? There's no such thing as an insurrection in our history. Okay? That's not the way that they told you it was. Okay? If you look at the Declaration of Independence, okay, Nancy Pelosi's telling you that day, she's on national TV, she got all the attention that day, and she's talking about our democracy and blah, blah, blah. First off, we're a constitutional republic. Okay, let's get that straight. We're a constitutional republic. All right. 2, go look at the Declaration of Independence. It's blatant. It tells you straight up, we the people have the right to alter or abolish. Oh, we can just change it, or we can destroy it and do what? We can alter or abolish any government that what? Goes against its foundation, and then do what? Reset it back on the original foundation. What is our original foundation, Derek? Glad you asked that. Military law. Our founders made military law first. Military came first. Then the Declaration of Independence. Then the Constitution. That's why military law is very, 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 very important here. That's why law and order is important here. That's why law and order is important. On the other side of town that day, very, very monumental speech took place. President Trump. All right, well, y'all thought you were watching this insurrection because why? The media is also going to pay for the U.S. codes that they break. The fraud, the treason, the crimes against humanity. You got to learn to separate, discern what is propaganda and what is actual law and order. President Trump's over here giving a speech, okay? And on that day, gold fringe flags started appearing. The gold fringe flag is one of those things that you can Google and you can't find much about it because they have deleted a lot of that. Okay, but military people who know about the gold fringe flag know that it was an appearance in admiralty courts, maritime law, okay, law of the water, admiralty courts, okay. So the gold fringe flag started appearing behind President Trump. The president can deem that flag, and when he deems that flag, he's telling you what's taking place, okay. That gold fringe flag is very important. It started making its appearance outside behind him on January the 6th as he's making this monumental speech. Okay, January 6th was very monumental. The gold fringe flag, it's been in every single shot, every single angle, every single picture, every single thing since January the 6th. That gold fringe flag is in that shot. All right, and every time you see it, and every time you look at the flight app, and you see the National Guard outside of their states and outside of this country, military is still in full control, okay? And I'm going to get that to a minute. We're going to go back now. So just want to let you know where the gold fringe flag started appearing. President Trump's speech, January the 6th. He specifically said on that date, the next 2 weeks moving forward will be the most monumental in your lifetime, your children's lifetime, your great-grandchildren's lifetime, and their children and great-grandchildren. They will, if they live to talk about it, they will be talking about this, okay? I always love to talk with females when I say this because only females can find this humorous most of the time, but, you know, not picking on us guys, but I always say, what did 43 out of 45 U.S. presidents have in common? Okay, and they're like thinking, and they finally give up. And I say, well, okay, JFK was the youngest and Obama was black. Okay, so that leaves 43 out of 45 presidents with one thing in common. Okay, and President Trump's telling you that your great-grandchildren, their great-grandchildren will be talking about what is going to take place the next 2 weeks moving forward. That's a long way down the road. Okay, none of us watching this, me here, none of us are going to be here for that. Okay, what would be so monumental about inaugurating an old white man? That is what 43 out of 45 U.S. presidents have in common. Old white men. A lot more qualified out there than just old white men. Can I get a amen? Can I get a truth bomb there? That's what 43 out of 45 U.S. presidents have in common. What would be so monumental about that? Think about it. President Trump already knew what was going to happen January the 6th, which is why all of those executive orders are important. They already knew. Because what was about to take place. So January 6th is that pivotal moment right there. All right. The other thing, before I get on that, he had another speech. Very important. When I said that they're going to separate the patriots from the you-know-whats, okay, I'm not going to say it again, but President Trump went to the Alamo and had a speech at the Alamo. That speech was very important. That was an optic, okay? It was an optic, meaning this is my final speech. All right, I'm drawing my line in the sand. The Alamo. The reason why the Alamo is so important in Texas history is because William Barrett Travis, he left his little town, went to San Antonio. Bowie got sick. He pinned himself lieutenant colonel and took charge, the commander of the Alamo. All right. He drew a line in the sand, and he told his boys, when they were surrounded by the Mexicanos, when they were surrounded, he drew a line in the sand, and he told his boys, those who stand on this side of the line with me will surely die. They already knew they were surrounded. They knew the Pony Express couldn't get to help in time. And the Pony Express coming to them didn't get there in time to tell them that the war was over. It was okay. It wouldn't be retaliating. It wouldn't be dishonoring their uniform if they threw up a white flag. That's why Texans love the Alamo so much. They fought for Texas and died for Texas and really didn't have to. Okay? So, that's why that's important. William Barrett Travis drew this line in the sand. He wrote a letter, gave it to the Pony Express. It was called Victory or Death. Victory or Death. Okay? Now this ain't necessarily a life and death thing in the sense of we're all surely going to die. That's not what you get out of that. He was saying, all right, you the patriots, you have to decide what side of the line you're on. Law and order, our foundation, our premises, everything I've been saying that never changes because it's law and order. It's all right here. Everything I'm giving you can tangibly look up. There's nothing I'm saying on this video that you cannot find. Okay? Nothing. Not a thing. That was his final optic, his speech. All right, let's go back to January the 6th. Okay, on January the 6th, Executive Order 13919 that I talked about earlier came into play. That is when the National Guard and the reserve components were called into federal action. Secretary of Defense, Executive Order 13919 went into effect when the Secretary of Defense activated the reserve components of the military. Got that in links. You don't have to worry about that. I got all this in documents. Don't worry. I got it. Okay? That is when the National Guard, the reserve components were called into federal duty. You also saw the fences go up. Those fences are facing inwards, signifying a prison. You watch right in front of you. You watch this action go on. Okay? First time in history. The first time in history that we've activated all 50 states at one time. Okay? Executive Order 13919. That was on January the 6th. Those troops didn't start rolling into D.C. until January the 17th. What you witnessed right in front of everyone, 99% of the world that were watching, okay? I'm going to go ahead and go with 100% of the world who saw it, okay? But whoever was watching that day, the only person who can activate the National Guard to federal duty, all right, the only person who can activate the National Guard to federal duty, it's called federalizing, is the President of the United States of America. And who was your president on January the 6th, 2021 and January 17th, 2021? Who was it? Okay, he's the only one who can give that order. If governors had control of the National Guard on a federal level, do you know how many power-tripping Barney Fifes would have had by now? Okay, so this is law right here. The only person who can activate the National Guard to federal duty, the only way that a National Guard can be outside of their state and especially in another country is being federalized by the President of the United States of America. And you witnessed it right in front of you. All right. Then let's go back to that date in Executive Order 13848. Those 60 days and the 60 days. 60 days on November the 3rd, 2020 brings you to January the 2nd, 2021. Just a few days before this January the 6th insurrection that you were focused on But I'm focused on the January the 6th when the Executive Order 13919 was activated, when the Secretary of Defense activated reserve components, just a few days after that committee was to report. Do you understand that? Do you understand what we're saying? They reported. Well, that report told them, okay, activate them. 60 days on to that date completes the 120 days that is in Executive Order 13848. Well, guess what day that is? March the 3rd, 2021. Wonder what that signifies. Some optics there, right? That's right. The original inauguration date in United States history is March the 4th. All right. There's some optics with that. The last president that was inaugurated on March the 4th was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay. President Trump dropped a lot of optics around Pearl Harbor. He dropped a lot of Pearl Harbor talk all throughout his presidency. Okay. When was Pearl Harbor? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Okay. So there was a lot of optics there. March the 4th. That 60 days brought you to March the 3rd, 2021. Okay. So I can visually show you in my documents, and I can show you some pictures right here of National Guard to this day, to this very day, and you'll have to get on these documents to see past this day, the National Guard in action out of their states and out of this country. And those actions alone show you that they are still in complete control by military law, military regulations, military operations, symbols, optics, operations, U.S. law, the Constitution, all by law. Okay? It showed you right in front of you. I've had people ask me, did he sign the Insurrection Act? Did he sign the Insurrection Act? Did he sign the Insurrection Act? He don't have to sign the Insurrection Act. It was signed in 1807. Come on, people. It's called the Insurrection Act of 1807. He don't have to sign the Insurrection Act. All he has to do is tell his boys, let's go, boys. National Guard, let's go. All he does is tell his generals, get them ready. Get them going. Send them here. Send them here. They already had this plan, though. He didn't even have to do that. This was a plan. It was already in a plan. They're still activated to this day. And the powers that give him that are those that the New York Times, remember, said he has powers we don't know about. Bull crap. He has every power that every other president has because it's law and order. It's in the law books. It's there. So when you saw the National Guard march into D.C., just because you thought they came back to their states don't mean anything. Are you in the military? If you're not, and you know nothing about the military, which a lot of you don't, no offense, but you don't know what their orders are. If they're active duty or National Guard and they're your family member, they can't tell you what those orders are. Not by oath. They're not supposed to tell you that, okay? And a lot of them won't, because a lot of them know that this is very detrimental. This is very detrimental, and they could be court-martialed for that. And they can face criminal investigation, okay? So when you saw those troops move into D.C., you should have known that the only person who can activate the National Guard to federal duty is the President of the United States of America by, once again, Title 10, Title 32, 47 U.S. Code 606, War Powers of the President, 10 U.S. Code 12406, and 10 U.S. Code 246. Go read them. They'll tell you. It outlines especially the war powers of the president. All right, so he didn't have to sign the Insurrection Act of 1807. That's what we got to learn here. We got to teach that. Okay, it's been in law books since 1807. Okay, this is the other one that people really, really, really love, and I love telling this one, even though, once again, the reason why I'm also you know, I get choked up with this sometimes because I have so many family members who fought in this uniform, people who have died in it, family members who have died in the uniform. So the uniform is very, very important to anybody who served for the right reasons. Okay, that uniform is very, very important. So some of it is awesome to tell because it's the ultimate troll move you could ever do to anybody. Okay, but at the same time, It stinks it had to come down to this in a different kind of way. It stinks that we did have to get to this place in our nation, but being a veteran, sometimes we do get a little dark humor sometimes, but so treat it like that if anything. So I do Donald Trump first. What you witnessed on January the 20th, 2021, not January the 20th, 2017. January the 20th, 2021, by military regulations and constitutional law, every single American witnessed Donald John Trump, by once again military regulation and constitutional law, received the full grade inauguration ceremony. Oh yeah, I'm going to tell you how. I'm definitely going to tell you how. I'm going to take pride in telling you how. Okay? This is why you have to understand military. So let's revert back real quick. Let me get on my little soapbox. When people tell me to get straight to the point, when people tell me all the things they've told veterans like me, things like that, and I'm telling you by military regulation what took place right in front of you, and then you want to pop off with a comment about, well, I don't know if I believe that, or I don't know about that. Oh, well, does that really matter? Of course it matters. We're a nation of law and order. Okay? We created that. That is what we have. That is our system. You pay taxes to it. We have a system, law and order. Of course it matters. That's why people once again die in that uniform under the same UCMJ, the Uniform Code of Military Justice, which is military law. They die under the same law that you abide by. Okay? That's why it matters. Yes, it matters. Military regulations. This is how particular military regulations are. And symbols. Okay? President Trump. President Trump exits Marine One on a red carpet rollout, which signifies what? Royalty, high honor. Okay? The military is this keen and this precise on regulations. As he exited Marine One on that red carpet rollout, on the fourth ruffle of Hail to the Chief, bump a bomb, bump a bomb, bump a bomb, bump a bomb. On the fourth ruffle, the 21 gun salute is supposed to start. As he exited Marine One and the official band was playing, on the fourth ruffle, the official salute battery started the 21 gun salute, which is the highest honor in military and for the president. 21 gun salute by the official salute battery. The 3rd Infantry ID, also known as the Old Guard. 21 gun salute. He's the first president to leave the city 11:59 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in Air Force One on what everybody thought was a Biden inauguration. So that matters in one way and it doesn't in another. It matters from the standpoint of what you thought you saw. It doesn't from the standpoint of what I know and what I've taught you by law and order. Because of this, he received the full grade military and constitutional by law inauguration ceremony. Now, let's get to the ultimate troll move. Let's get to the dark humor side of things. Let's go over to the other side of town. Let's leave Joint Base Andrews, where both Air Force Ones were. Both Air Force Ones. Let's leave Joint Base Andrews and let's go over here to what every American thought they witnessed. Every single one of you that watched it that day, not all of you that were disgusted and didn't watch it, but all of you that did watch it, here's what you actually saw, okay? And here's where guys like me were excited in one way, but we were pissed and disgusted in another, because they were what? Desecrating the uniform, okay? Let's go over to what y'all thought was the inauguration, all right? Not only did they start the live feed way on into the night, which told you it was what? Pre-recorded. They showed the inauguration the night before January the 20th across the big pond. You can look that up, okay? Wasn't secretive. They were telling you about it. Live broadcast starts at this time over here, which should tell you it was pre-recorded. Should have told you then it was pre-recorded. All right, that should have told you right there. Something ain't right. That's weird. That's different. How would they already have sworn him in over here when it's not even here yet? Okay. Capitol building. What you thought was the Capitol building. How come they never zoomed in? Or you could say, well, they do. They zoom in and out. But you got to look closely. That's why optics are important. Okay. The media, one, they're being controlled by the military. Like I've already told you, the president has powers to what? Shut down internet and broadcast. So therefore they can control that. They can control what you're watching on purpose. This was an operation done on purpose, okay? To make you keep going about your life and think all this stuff's happened while the military gets to do their job. And we're going to come to that in a minute. But I'm bringing that in right now to bring this to a finale here soon, okay? So the Capitol building, zoom in, zoom out. Sure, they do that, but what they do is they take clips from Vice President Biden and put in with this clip today. They flip back and forth. So you got to understand that. That day on January the 20th, okay, what you saw on TV, what every veteran that knows what's going on saw on TV, and every patriot on some of these platforms that actually do know what's going on, what every person saw that day, optics, jacked up optics, okay? Every uniform, every single military uniform around Biden that day was non-regulation uniforms, okay? Non-regulation uniforms, not military grade uniforms, all right? So that alone should have told every veteran right there. There's a picture that I have of a Marine that they showed on CBS, on CBS's actual Inauguration Day website. They got a Marine in BDUs. No military branch has wore BDUs in a long, long time. Okay? Then CBS on their website also had a soldier who was wearing a multi-cam uniform with an ACU pattern Kevlar vest with an insignia that wasn't even a rank. His gloves were black with an American flag on it. None of that is in unison with the uniform, first off, and it's not regulation. Okay, you don't wear multi-cam with ACU pattern. Any veteran and any active duty, any National Guard, any military member will tell you that right there. That is not a violation for them to tell you. They can tell you that. Would you wear multi-cam with ACU pattern? No, you wouldn't. Every veteran watching this, knowing right now, they will tell you you're all jacked up. And a lot of them will also say something that will be bleeped out. You're all effed up right now, so you need to go square yourself away. That's what they would tell you. A lot of them probably would just not even give you that chance. If you showed up in your formation with an ACU pattern Kevlar vest with multi-cam on, I mean, I could think of a lot of my sergeants and what they would say and what they would do, okay? That's where you have to understand military. We live a different life, we're colorful, but when it comes to military law and military regulations and military symbols, it's very keen because people die in that uniform. Every one of those uniforms around Biden on January the 20th were non-regulation uniforms. Non-regulation. Okay? Then you witnessed him swear in 11:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. On national TV, what you thought you were witnessing right in front of you. He swore in at 11:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, a violation of the 20th Amendment of the Constitution, which specifically says that the president's term is to end and begin at noon. That's in our law books. That's it. Go look it up. Google it. Everything I'm telling you, you will not find on any other platform. And they should have been telling you this a long time ago. It has everything to do with what you're witnessing right now. The prices of gas, the taxes, the inflation. You'll see when I bring this to point about what this operation is all about. But you have to see first what you witness in order to understand what I'm saying. You can tangibly look up via law. There's nothing I'm telling you. Look at the comment boxes already of people on my videos. Look at the comment boxes. Everything he said, I've looked up. It's in law. There it is. Federal Registry, .gov, .mil, .us. Boom. There's no site that are in my links, in my documents, that take you to some crazy dude sitting in his basement in Des Moines, Iowa. Okay? I'll say that again. Everything. Fast forward. As you saw Biden walk out, after he violated the 20th Amendment of the Constitution, they walk out. A band comes marching by. Yes, there was a fourth ruffle, but they played a different song, and I'll bring that to point in a minute. They played a completely different song, okay? This motorcade goes down through D.C. It looked just like a funeral procession. If you'll go back and watch it, once again, got the links. You can YouTube that. Look at it. Looks just like a funeral procession. Bring back the National Guard. All of the National Guard that are standing on the side as that motorcade passed, not a single soldier saluted that motorcade. There's one thing that a veteran will tell you, and there's one thing that a military personnel will tell you, is that you salute the President of the United States. What does the oath say again? Title 10 of the Constitution, when you swear in, it specifically says, I will obey the orders of the President and the officers appointed over me. Why does enlisted salute every officer? Why do we do that? Well, Commander-in-Chief is the highest rank in the military. Chain of command. You salute the President. Not a single National Guard soldier. Many of them turned their back on him. Many of them had their backs turned as he drove by. Any veteran who served for the right reasons, who knows military law and military regulations, knows that you salute the President of the United States of America. It don't matter who you voted for, what you believe. Even if Biden was real, you salute him as he drove by. Right in front of you. They go down to the tomb of the unknown soldier, okay? Desecration of the uniform. This is where it's not dark humor anymore. This is a desecration, okay? But they did this on purpose. You're going to see why. They did it on purpose. 3 volley salute. Look it up. Once again, everything I'm telling you, yeah, look it up. 3 volley salute. Now, I will admit, CNN, CBS, CNBC, and all these people were tricky that day, and each one did something different, but they were told to do that, okay? Because most of you weren't paying attention to what people like me were paying attention to. Because when you couldn't see anymore, you had to turn to audio, and they were very, very tricky with audio that day too. I had to pause, rewind, pause, rewind, pause, rewind. I had to make sure. I made sure I heard what I heard and saw what I saw. And I did. And you can too. 3 volley salute. 3 pieces of artillery. 2 for firing, 1 for misfire. Go look at the video. 3 volley salute. A 3 volley salute is a military funeral service. Joe Biden was given a military grade funeral service. The 3 volley salute gave it away. But then all the other things I saw that day pieced together. Once I saw the 3 volley salute and then I heard the song they played for him, and then I heard the number of rounds. That's where the camera got tricky. The number of rounds that were fired. They kept swapping the camera here, here, and here. The audio went down. 13 rounds were fired. Not a 21 gun salute. 13 rounds were fired. 13. Go to the chart. You can Google that too. Go to the chart and look at the number of rounds. 21 gun salute. It's the only salute. Then you have 19 rounds fired, 17, 15, 13, 11, and a few more. 13. 13 was the number. That's the magic number that happened on January the 20th. Well, let's look on the chart at what 13 rounds means. Here we go. 2 columns. Rear Admiral and Major General. Out to the side, Honors March 2, 3, and 4. Well, we know Joe Biden was not in the military, so he couldn't be a Rear Admiral or a Major General. And the song that was played anyway wasn't Honors March 2, 3, or 4. Back at the Capitol building on the 4th ruffle, the song that was played was not Hail to the Chief. Joe Biden never received the whole day in the 9-hour ceremony, never once received Hail to the Chief. The song that was played after the 4th ruffle was Honors March 1. And when you look on that chart down here, oh, there it is, Honors March 1. In that second column, what is this? A minister resident. What the heck is a minister resident, you ask? Very good question, because I've already done that research for you. Minister resident is someone who takes residence in a foreign territory. Well, what did I say earlier in the video about a foreign territory? What is the District of Columbia known as in law? How many virtual shots are we at now? How many truth bombs are we at now? Minister resident, resident in a foreign territory. The District of Columbia is a foreign territory by law. Joe Biden is a minister resident in a foreign territory. And he received a full grade military funeral service right in front of every one of you. That is all by military law, U.S. law, constitutional law, and military regulations. It happened all right in front of you. Right in front of you. Military grade funeral service. I just want to keep saying that. I just want to be repetitive. Joe Biden received a military grade funeral service right in front of the world. Not just Americans, but the world. By full military regulations. And violated the Constitution of America right in front of everybody. Which brings me to my next point. Why is Biden a puppet? Well, a lot of people hear Biden being a puppet and they think, oh, well, you mean someone's controlling him back here. No, not what I mean at all. If you can't tell via my social media and my platforms of the pictures that I post of Biden, that they are two separate people of the Biden that you knew as vice president and way back, the one who slandered Clarence Thomas, the one who was already dumber than a box of rocks, okay? A career politician, 36 years, and then 8 years as vice president, okay? Career politician, all right? If you can't tell that they're two separate peoples, the attached earlobe and the detached earlobe, which 23andMe and Ancestry DNA and all these DNA sites and genetics and all these different, the hashtag science they want to cram down our throats. If you can't tell just this simple thing right here, that they tell you you either have an attached earlobe or a detached earlobe. If you can't tell that Joe Biden is an actor, you need to check into an ophthalmologist tomorrow. I don't know any good ones to recommend, but I'm sure you do, okay? You need to get your eyes checked, all right? They are daylight and dark difference. And you need to stop all this bull crap that you ain't never seen him in person, so you can't tell the difference really. Get out of here. They are daylight and dark difference. Daylight and dark difference. He's not a puppet by someone back here telling him what to do. He's a puppet by law. And I'm about to show you. How many virtual shots are we at now? By law, Joe Biden is a puppet actor. It's called a Commonwealth Act 671. Donald Trump laid down these optics once again. You have to listen to what Trump said. Everything that Donald Trump said, everything that President Trump said has come to fruition. Every single optic that he said was telling you what's coming, okay? And he specifically said all throughout his presidency, he talked about Pearl Harbor. He talked about all these optics to do with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, okay? And then his executive orders that brought you up to March the 3rd, which was the day before the original inauguration date in U.S. history, March the 4th. All these optics are right there for you. Now, you would have had to know history. That's why history is important. That's why we have to get back to the foundation of America. That's why President Trump signed the 1776 Commission, which is going to instill that back into our schools, back into our colleges, back into our foundation again. Okay, you got to read all this stuff. That is why he taught optics a lot. He laid down all these optics, but you would have had to know history once again. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the last president inaugurated on March the 4th. Okay? He's the last president to use 47 United States Code 606, which it's extended his powers as president. That's where I'm going to talk about the extension of powers now. The 47 United States Code 606 is called War Powers of the President. It extended his powers as president. Any of you that knows history knows that Franklin Delano Roosevelt served 13 years, 4 terms. He died in office because he had to use all these powers as presidents back here to extend his powers because we were in a world war. He extended his powers as president by all of the same U.S. codes. Those powers the New York Times said that Trump has powers we don't know about, they're all in law. The same powers, optics. You got to be able to discern the difference in propaganda, which Obama signed, the Mundt-Smith Act of 1948, which allowed media to use propaganda as news. Look it up. Go Google it. It's in my documents. The Mundt-Smith Act, 1948, allowed news to use propaganda for news. All right. Fake news. Remember Donald Trump talking about fake news? Y'all all thought he was just being dramatical and this, that, and other. Optics, people. Optics. He laid all these key words down this whole time, along with law and order, which is the most important. Franklin Roosevelt, March the 4th, Pearl Harbor. Biden is a Commonwealth Act number 671, which is in U.S. law. It's in our law books. Okay? Franklin Roosevelt, they put in a president of the Philippines that the people thought was president visually, while the actual president of the country was in what they call exile. He had full control of his military and full control of the protection of his people. Okay? He was willing to step back. He was willing to come down here and step back for his protection, but also have military control and protection of his people, while this puppet was out here and everybody thought he was president. This guy had the humility to step back and know that all these people were going to think that this guy's president, while he actually had full and complete control of his country and his military. That is what President Trump did. Because if you knew anything about law and order, you would know that once again, when those national emergencies were not addressed, okay, when those national emergencies were not addressed, that's why he had to activate his orders, okay? Maritime law had to go into effect, which he already put in an order in 2018 to activate November the 3rd, 2020. Then when you visually saw the troops march in to D.C., you knew then, you should have known then, the president is the only person who can activate the National Guard of federal duty, which should have told you that he already invoked the Insurrection Act of 1807. He used powers as president under 10 United States Code 246, 10 United States Code 12406, United States Code 47 U.S. Code 606, which is the war powers of the president. Also, that I know about, because of all these actions, and the only way he was able to activate those actions, he would have signed a PED on November the 3rd, 2020, which is a Presidential Emergency Active Document. The only person who can know what's inside of a Presidential Emergency Active Document, known as a PED, is the President and his generals, okay? Just the other day, this is August 26, 2022, last week, on my Google, on my Gmail, Apple gave me a little thing up here, their news. It said Trump and his generals. Talking about present day, Trump and his generals. I have that screenshot I'll be adding to the dots here soon. All of these things showed you by Article 2 and Article 4 of the Constitution of America that President Trump extended his powers as president. So everything from January the 6th and January 17th, outside of the fact you saw Donald Trump receive the full grade military and constitutional by law inauguration, all of these things back here, along with the Stafford Act, Marine Law of 1834, and the Presidential Emergency Act, all of those things extended President Trump's powers as president according to law and order. That never changes. It happened right in front of you. That is his powers as president. Once again, war powers of the president. Because those national emergencies were not addressed by Congress, then he had to use the military to address them. And they're still addressing them because they're still in the sky every day as I watch the flight app and a few others out there, Monkey Works, okay? Shout out to him. I've been following him too. But as an air and missile defense guy, this is also my forte. So I love watching this. I watch them every single day as I click and click. Like I said, I have over 1,000 pages with I don't know how many thousands of pictures of our National Guard every single day since January 2021. No less than 300 military aircraft have been in the sky every single day since January 2021. That shows you right there. You don't have to wonder, all these, I'll understand all the questions, I understand all the comments. But as long as those National Guard are outside of their states, and especially overseas, flying every single day, all of those powers are still intact, okay? And the end result is going to be ending in military tribunals, which I've already told you. If it's the first time you've heard military tribunals, there's 772 pages of military tribunals alone that you can read in one document in a PDF file. And I'm pretty sure you're not going to, so you probably should watch this video over and over and over again. And when I go live some more on the operations of the aircraft, you should watch those some more, because until those orders are rescinded, until those National Guard go back to their homes, because they're not active duty. So when they go back to their homes and they go back to their daily jobs, when that happens in the military tribunals, you'll know the end results of this. Because once again, Donald Trump, everything he said has come to fruition, or it's going to. The crimes and evidence will be displayed to the public in full accordance to the law. The law. The law. The law. How many times we have to take a virtual shot here? The law. That's why law is important. So if the platforms would have been teaching you law and order, and if you'd have been studying your history, or like dusting off the history books a little bit and cracking it open a little bit, and at least trying, or those that were listening to me that weren't really listening to me, thinking I'm off my rocker and that I'm some conspiracy theorist when I'm telling you law and order. It'd been different if I'm telling you all these things that just you can't tangibly look up. It'd been different. But it's law and order. It's in our law books. It's executive orders. And they're right in front of you. Okay? It happened right in front of you. All of these things. And all of these things you can do what? Tangibly look up. President Trump was willing to step back. Okay? He was willing to step back and let the military step up. His generals. All world generals and U.S. generals. Like I said, the National Guard are operating overseas. Okay? All of the military in control. He was willing to step back with humility, step back and let them be in control. While the Commonwealth actor looks like he's president. And here's why. Okay? It's better for someone to damn themselves than it would have been for a military takeover. Had the military gone in full martial law and been a visual takeover, a hostile takeover, had that happened, we would have lost a lot of Americans. We'd have lost a lot of them intellectually, first off, because they wouldn't have understood what was going on. Okay, that would have happened. Then we would have had all the good old boys, all the Barney Fifes, all of the Paul Blart Mall cops, all of the guys who say, oh, I was security for the White House and this ain't really happening. We'd have guys like that who have no clue about law and order. Once again, if a veteran does not quote law and order, military law, military regulations, military optics, military symbols, U.S. codes, Constitution, and can't look at an operation, cannot look at a non-regulation uniform versus a regulation uniform. If you have that, anybody who says that, if they don't tell you law and order, you question them, because you are we the people. We are we the people. It's we right here. Your brain, your intelligence is right here. It's up to you to read what I'm talking about. It's up to you to go look this up. It's up to you to come over and ask to be on my documents. They're no charge. They never will be. Why? Because it's military law, military orders, military regulations, U.S. law, the Constitution. How many times I got to repeat that? Okay? I know I don't have to, but I'm making a point here. It's no cost for you to read law and order and understand what's going on. And if someone's out there charging you for that and all this Hansel and Gretel stuff, now ain't the time for that. Now is the time to understand law and order and understand that President Trump actually does, with humility, has your best interest, and was willing to step back and let the military take control in a monumental, biblical, historical, covert operation while the military is in full control. The military did not want Barney Fifes out in the street and a bunch of good old boys who tell veterans like me all the time when we're sitting around a campfire at a hunting camp or wherever we are fishing or whatever we're doing. We've heard it multiple times. This is not an attack on civilians who did not serve in the military, but at the same time, we get tired of hearing this stuff. I'll serve my country if I have to. I'll fight for my country if I have to. Oh, if the wolf comes knocking, I'll have to. You have to every single day. America is a document. I don't have a piece of paper right here, but America is a document. It's on a piece of paper in the Smithsonian. It is an idea that our founders put into realism. It was something that they fought for every single day. And then guess what? Over time, people started doing what? Patting their pockets, thinking about themselves. Narratives, chaos, division, thinking about themselves, selfish entitlement. That's where we got, okay? And you have to understand that, where we are right now. You have to decide what side of the line do you want to be on, okay? And I don't think you want to be on the other side opposite of patriots like me and the patriots watching this video. You don't want to be on that side of history. I can tell you right now, you don't want to be on that side. And I can tell you straight up, on behalf of every veteran in this country, veterans, if civilians could see the daily life of veterans, but while we were active duty, every day on duty, black, white, Hispanic, gay, straight, trans, this, that, everybody can tell a mama joke, a dirty joke, a this joke, a that joke. You can argue for 5 minutes and 5 minutes later be hugging each other. Okay, we're unfiltered. We're raw. That's what people want. That's why Donald Trump is so loved. It's okay to be raw. You know when you're being a true racist. We know when you're being a true homophobe and all these other things. We know that. We know when you're telling, oh, you white boy, you southern boy, you know, blah, blah, blah. I could tell you so many stories. So many stories. The military looks at the world as it is. Not how we think it should be and not how we want it to be. We know how it is. Reality. Okay? That's why we're unfiltered. That's why you have to watch us at some of your parties. Okay? Because we'll be done popped off and said something. Either good, bad, dirty, whatever it could be. And people are like, oh man, did he just say that again? Yep, he did. And I'm like, yeah, I did. I said it. You know, I said it. Just like I'm telling you right now. I'm not knocking all these platforms. I'm just saying it's law and order. And if you learned it, if you learned that, then you would understand what's going on. They wanted, the military wanted to go down in history, not as a hostile takeover. They wanted to control this as much as possible. I can assure you right now that you would never understand the depth of corruption and the depth of filth that is going on. Okay? There's been so much filth that you can never imagine. Sex trafficking, child molestation. You will never be able to understand that on a world level where it got and the filth that was going on and the money behind it. Okay, money laundering. You cannot comprehend that, what the military fights. You cannot comprehend that. Our police, all of our civil duties out there, you will never comprehend the filth. You see it every now and then, and but it's just one of those things that passes by. Because if it ain't someone that you knew, if it's not someone that was in your family or one of your friends or your community, you just let it go right on by. You don't even think about it anymore. And that's not how the military thinks. The military community, we're for you first. We're for you first. That is why military law is important. That's why it is the most important. Because we fight for your freedoms first. Okay? We fight for them as a whole, not select groups. Everybody as a whole. So you have to understand that. Okay? So you have to understand that President Trump and the military wanted the people, you to go about your business. Because you're okay whining, griping, complaining. And yes, you will find a way. This ain't the first time we've ever had high price gases. It's not the first time. Does it suck? Yes. I have to pay the same gas prices as you do. I'm not exempt from that. I have to pay $8 a gallon for milk. I have to do everything you have to do. I'm not exempt from that. Okay? I understand what you're thinking and what you're going through. But when you can see the bigger picture of this, and the quicker you realize we the people control what's going on at all times, we control Congress, we run this ship. Okay, when you hear President Trump saying, I'm giving the power back to the people, that is nothing but foundational language. That is an orgasm on your lips and your ears right there, ladies and gentlemen. That is what that is. There's some unfiltered stuff for you right there. See there? See how that applies to you? Oh boy, I know some of y'all probably won't like that, but you know, hey, you know, Christians, y'all got to lighten up a little bit and have some fun with this, okay? I'm a Christian too, but you got to lighten up, have some fun with this on that level, okay? President Trump and the military, they did not want to go down in history as a hostile takeover. So therefore, They put a puppet up. While everybody's going along about their business, the military's in full operations, and they ain't got to worry about no Barney Fife getting out in the street with this little AR-15, not knowing what the heck is going on. They don't have to worry about that, okay? Full control, full control. They wanted the left and all evil. It ain't just the left. Oh, you're going to find out, all of you are going to find out, a lot of people that you thought that you voted for at one time in your states and on a federal level, you're going to find out a lot of people, not just the left, are corrupt. Okay, you're going to find out a lot of people are corrupt. And the military is making all of them damn themselves. They're making them fall on their own. Okay, that's what you're witnessing. Those are the optics around that. The only way you're going to be able to learn and understand the optics, though, is when you understand law and order in our foundation. And when you see that every single one of these orders that Donald Trump signed from 2017 to 2021, and then look at all of the powers that he activated as president, you will see that he extended his powers as president according to law and order. You saw it also with the inauguration. When you go back and look at the feed, and when you go Google and you go look up all those keywords and terms that I told you, you're going to see and put that together as a puzzle. Okay? You're going to see that. By law, you, the American people, had to witness Joe Biden break United States codes and Constitution. You already saw it. You saw it the day of the inauguration, but what you didn't see before all that is he broke 18 U.S. Code 2384, 18 U.S. Code 2381, 18 U.S. Code 115, 18 U.S. Code 2385, 3 U.S. Code 15, and 52 U.S. Code 20511. He had to successfully, visually, in front of the American public, break all of those codes, which are treason, fraud, and crimes against humanity. Checkmate. He's already done all that. Already broke all of those. All right? And I'm going to tag along on the end of this. Now that you know that President Trump extended his orders as president by law and order, and you saw him by law and military regulation received the full grade inauguration ceremony, and Joseph Robinette Biden Jr. received the full grade military regulation funeral service. I'm going to show you some optics that will back these up. Even though all that law should tell you right there, that's not Derek's opinion, that's not some guy on Telegram, that's not some guy on Truth Social. That is law and order. Our highest law of the land. Military laws, U.S. laws, military regulations, United States codes, military symbols, military optics, military operations, all right in front of you. As if law and order does not show you that President Trump is still your president, which, once again, if law and orders don't mean a thing, then go out and break the speed limit sign out there, go to court to fight it, and tell the judge that that speed limit sign is just a suggestion. And I want to know what the judge tells you. Now, you might know the judge and he might tear that up, or you might be doing something I'm not supposed to know about with the judge. Who knows? But traditionally, go tell a judge that that speed limit sign doesn't mean a thing, okay? And then come back and tell me that law and order doesn't mean a thing, because it means everything. It means everything. It's the premises of our nation. We are a nation of law and order. So fact check that and fact check this. Now I'm going to show you with optics, some optics of why Joe Biden ain't your president. Optics. These are optics after the matter, Okay? What you think is Biden was being president, I'm going to show you what guys like me are looking at optically. Okay? So the first one just happened recently. Have a lot of inquiries about this. The raid on Mar-a-Lago, the FBI raid. Well, if you were paying attention, or you had known law and order and regulations, or had you been a friend of Derek before, the few that I have that were talking to me, and reading my documents, the few that have been reading them, that have been adamantly talking to me, I can tell you right offhand, two people, all right, before all of this explosion that I never dreamt would happen, two people were reading my documents and talking to me every single day. And I was breaking it down and patient with them because I live and breathe this. I love this stuff. Okay, I love law and order, and I love being a United States veteran who I know I served for the right reasons. Okay, I enlisted with a degree. Any veteran will tell you, any military member will tell you, I enlisted with a degree. I had the scores of generals, and I enlisted with a degree because I wanted to go on the front line. I wanted to do something that would gain that respect by enlisted soldiers, and if I got to drop my officer packet or my warrant officer packet, if I ever got to do that, which I didn't, I was cut short, and I am now a disabled veteran, okay? I didn't get to do that, but had I done that, I would have had that respect when I asked an enlisted soldier to go into a dangerous situation. They would have known that I enlisted, and I was also someone who enlisted with a degree. So you gain a lot of respect on that, and it's not respect from the social world out there. All of you on posting, someone disrespected me. Has nothing to do with that. Military respect and that respect are daylight and dark difference. It has everything to do when you ask a soldier to go, a young soldier on top of that, to go into a mission or to know they're walking into danger. They would know you had been there before, okay? And you would know how to talk to them, okay? So you have to understand the officers and enlisted, all right? We even have jokes with each other, okay? We love each other at the end of the day, but there's been some heated arguments and some heated conversations before between officers and enlisted, okay? So you have to understand that, okay? The raid on Mar-a-Lago, if you'd have been in my documents, you would have seen. I had this in there, okay? So, executive privilege, all right? Executive privilege. Just a couple of days ago, there was an article that came out, and it was actually President Trump. It was on, he had posted this on his True Social and his official presidential little piece he does weekly. Okay, I didn't even have to read the whole article. Didn't have to read it. First off, I already knew what was going on. I have it in my documents. I have it in my documents way back to November 2021. I have it in there where I wrote that. You can see where I edited it on a Google edit. You can see that. Okay, so I already knew what was going on. I don't even have to read anything he says. I can just see an article and pick the key words out the same way that attorneys do. I'm not an attorney, but I can interpret the law because I read and I understand key words and terminology and why terminology matters. All I got to do is skim and find the key words. I don't have to read everything. Executive privilege. Of all the words, boom, executive privilege. I didn't have to see anything else in this tweet and this memorandum, okay? I didn't have to see anything else in that memo. I sent that picture to my mother and different people that I talked to, the few that I talked to, and I said, find the optic in this. Because we talk so much and they understand, they'll start stabbing at it. They'll take a stab at it. Well, my mother and one other friend, my friend called it right on the dot. My mother called it twice, okay? Executive privilege. By federal law, the only person who can exert executive privilege is a current sitting president. All right? It don't specifically say that in a law, but here's what it says. It says that Congress has to exert that. okay, on behalf of the president. It has to pass through Congress. Congress approved. They cannot bypass when a president says this, okay? Congress has to. Well, Congress is up under the president, right? So you got Congress and the president. Well, you the people didn't start hearing about executive privilege. If you were paying attention, it didn't hit the news until November 2021, which is in the documents, okay? I've got the articles about it. You the people, if you were paying attention, you didn't hear about that until November 2021, all right? So if Congress has to exert this for the president, Congress cannot bypass. You'll read that in the law. Congress cannot bypass. Well, that would mean that President Trump has to be what? Still president. Because why would Congress would, if Joe Biden is really president, then President Trump would be what? Civilian Trump. He wouldn't be, yeah, people still call former presidents presidents because they were actually a president, but in all reality, he is a civilian again. He's not president. That Congress, this Congress that you think is Congress, even though that's an optic and they're all acting too, that Congress don't work for President Trump. So the news media, even though those are optics too, but the news media, for the average person out there that didn't know any of this and don't know what some of us know, they wouldn't know this. But the media just a couple of days ago are telling you that President Trump exerted executive privilege in November 2021. How? Once again, how can he do that? Congress is with President Biden, not civilian Trump. That's an optic for you, okay? The next optic I got for you. Executive Order 13848, the monumental executive order that spun all this into action and all this national emergency, maritime law, the 60 days and the 60 days, the election fraud committee, all this. That order was set to expire in September this past year, 2021. It was set to expire. Why would Joe Biden extend Executive Order 13848, which is a national emergency in it for voter fraud, with maritime law in it? All of those things inside Executive Order 13848 was put in there for Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden. It would damn his administration. He extended that order for 1 year. Okay? He extended that order for 1 year. Why? Why would he sign to extend an executive order that President Trump signed that specifically lays out voter fraud, maritime law, national emergency that was not addressed? The whole reason President Trump activated the National Guard of Federal Duty is because these national emergencies were not addressed by what? Congress. Why would Biden sign an executive order that's going to damn his whole presidency and administration? It's right in front of you, people. You have to read. You have to read things that matter. There's another optic for you. Okay? Here's another one for you. Sticking with old Biden. Old Sleepy Joe Biden. Ukraine. A lot of you veterans, I know a group right now on social media. I've been watching all these veterans get on there and they're Putin this and Russia that and Putin this and Russia that. Where were you, veteran? Where were you? It's you that I'm questioning right now. All of you that thinks Putin is a bad dude. I'm questioning you, okay? Outside of the fact that he has a whack last name, Putin, all right, that's all it is right now. Because I have the picture on my phone, in my documents, have it on my phone, all right? November the 9th, 2016, when Donald Trump won presidency. Fox News, long before they went woke, Fox News has President Trump and Putin side by side with a quote by Putin. Vladimir Putin says, "Ready to work with Trump for the reset." said it, okay? Joe Biden, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., has had his hand in the cookie jar of Ukraine for a long, long time, okay? But first, let's talk about Ukraine before we get to that. Ukraine, for all you veterans out there that think that Putin's a bad guy and Russia is this, here's a little fact check for you, okay? Fact check this, okay? Ukraine has not registered for border registration since 1992. They left a treaty, a CIS treaty, in 2018 with Russia. Okay, so if they haven't filed for border registration since 1992, and they left a treaty with Russia, specifically with Russia in 2018, and they're trying to say they're an independent country, but they haven't filed for border registration, the USSR, does anybody remember the USSR? Okay, Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine is still a part of Russia legally. You can fact check that. That is a fact. Okay, the picture of Trump in 2014. Okay, in 2014, Biden, Vice President Biden, made 7 trips in 7 months to the Ukraine. All right. Also, John Kerry, Mitt Romney, Joe Biden, and Nancy Pelosi, Mitt Romney, and John Kerry all have children working for oil companies and companies in Ukraine. Imagine that. In 2014, also I told you about Obama's orders. He had 3 executive orders on Ukraine alone. Also in 2014, they did not have a presidential election in Ukraine. With 3 executive orders from Obama and 7 trips in 7 months by Biden, who do you think was put in president? And why? And by who? All in executive orders, even way back then. You had to been paying attention. And all of those way back then would show you why the military had to step in. Because you're going to find out that every president all the way back to 2001 has had their hands in the cookie jar of Ukraine. And also, March the 8th, 2022, under oath, guess who told under oath that Ukraine has biochemical labs? Under Secretary of who you thought was President, Biden. Under Secretary Victoria Nuland, who worked for whom? The Obama administration, and Biden as Vice President. Victoria Nuland, under oath, told that Ukraine has biochemical labs. That is why Russia is in Ukraine. They're taking care. Remember the reset? Remember I will work with Trump? Well, we don't have to go in there. Russia said that's our territory anyway because they have not filed for border registration since 1992. And also, what? Left a CIS treaty in 2018. Left the treaty abruptly with Russia. So, they're right there. They go down there and they're bombing these biochemical labs. It's not rocket science, people. You got to follow what's going on. You weren't told to care about Ukraine until someone told you to care about it. But you didn't research back here. If you'd have known someone like me, you'd have known what was going on. Okay? It's all right here. Where's the Ukrainian news, by the way? Where's the news on this? I hadn't seen any more pictures. The media, even though I know it's optics, but for your sake, they ain't showing you anything. They're just telling you a few little things. They're not showing you anything. They're just filling your ears full. And you're getting all drama-filled because y'all are based on drama, a lot of you. You got to get out of that. You got to get out of that. Victoria Nuland, March the 8th, not long ago, told you straight up what is going on in Ukraine. The other day, local news, visiting a family member, 2 veterans go civilian plane to Ukraine. Now they're stuck over there, and guess what they want? They want the military to come get them. Why would veterans want the military to come get them when they claim to go over there to be helping Ukrainians in this quote-unquote war? That don't make any sense. If they knew what was going on over there, if they knew what the media is telling you guys, not what I know, but that don't make any sense. If they knew what I knew, they wouldn't have been going in the first place. So that don't make any sense at all for veterans to get over there and then cry wolf and want the military to come get them. Think about it, people. You got to think about that. Here's another optic for you. Biden, on his campaign, he swore up and down, he told all you, I'm going to shut down Gitmo, Guantanamo Bay. Some people don't even know what Gitmo is. Guantanamo Bay. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. Even though a lot of us already knew, a few of us already knew that the guy you saw on the campaign trail, old Biden, that was already the actor. All right, all of this was already in play. Okay, this guy you saw, but Gitmo, I'm going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. He said that in February 2021, the actor, and also September 2021. Simultaneously, there was a reporter, got the link, a reporter who is down in Guantanamo Bay talking about courtroom trials going on as she was speaking. Okay? He said he's going to shut it down. December 29th, 2021. December. Just this past December 2021. The New York Times has a piece. Specifically says, in present tense, President Trump and the Pentagon are expanding Gitmo by $500 million, new courtrooms, and more room to house thousands of soldiers. Well, ironically, also, no coincidence, President Trump also has an executive order about Guantanamo Bay and expanding it. But here it is. You think Biden is president. He's saying, I'm going to shut down Guantanamo Bay. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. I'm going to shut down Gitmo. Why isn't he shut down Gitmo? He has the same powers as every president. One stroke of the pen, he could shut down Gitmo just like that. He don't need anybody. Nothing. He could sign an executive order, shut down Gitmo. Instead, the National Defense Authorization Act, which would block the ability to shut down Gitmo, he didn't want to sign this. He didn't want to sign it. 2022 National Defense Authorization Act blocks the ability to shut down Gitmo. Why did he sign that? I don't want to hear some bull crap about, oh, someone back here is making him do it. No Republican, no conservative, it would have been had a conservative move saying you're not going to do this. Well, no, you are going to sign this, but you're not going to shut down Gitmo. It would have been had it been a conservative saying you're not going to shut down Gitmo. You're going to sign this right here. You think that? You think Biden? If you think Biden is real, do you think he'd have been listening to a conservative? There's been no less, there's been like no, I think it's 10 consecutive, what you thought was Congress, which is all visuals, all optics. But if you didn't know what I knew, there's been no less than 10 on Congress, Republicans, that have voted on the Democrat side for Biden. So it wouldn't have been a conservative telling him that. And ain't nobody on the left going to tell Biden to sign this act that's going to block the ability to shut down Gitmo. He signed it. The actors signed that. Okay? Optics. It's right in front of you. You got to step outside the box and look at that. Okay? Military in June 2018, the Military Times. Here's another optic. Military Times, June 24th, 2018. Funding for fighting in tunnels. All right? It says right here, got the quote. U.S. Army leaders say the next war will be fought in mega cities, but the service has embarked on an ambitious effort to prepare most of its combat brigades to fight not inside but beneath them. That is in the militarytimes.com. June the 24th, 2018. It specifically said that right there. U.S. Army leaders, who was president again in 2018? U.S. Army leaders say the next war will be fought in mega cities. But the service has embarked on an ambitious effort to prepare most of its combat brigades to fight not inside, but beneath them, beneath the mega cities. Let's diagram this sentence. You remember that? Some of you that are my age, remember having a diagram a sentence? Brigades to fight, not inside, but beneath the mega cities. Here's another optic. Just a few weeks ago, Kentucky had a flood. God bless those people. I hate to have to use this as an optic. Kentucky had a flood. Showed Biden going to it. If you're a veteran and you did not see this, once again, I question not your heart, not your mind, but I question you. Military regulation uniform. Marine One. You can look up Marine One under Obama, Clinton, Bush, Reagan, etc. Blue dress Charlie uniform. Marines, are you with me? Okay. All of a sudden, Biden's Marine One are not in blue dress Charlie uniform. Why? And in Kentucky, you have two standing side by side. They look like they're in Air Force flight suits with a patrol cap on. Okay. One of them is wearing a belt with a pistol on his side. That's not even in unison. Okay, those of you that are not in the military, first off, they weren't military regulation uniforms. Okay, they were all jacked up. They could have been regulation uniforms from the standpoint, if you understand why I'm using that, that looked like a flight suit from the Air Force with a Marine patrol cap. Okay, two separate branches. All right. Then in military, you're always in unison. Okay, if we get to downgrade in the Army, we get to downgrade from our jackets, everybody's got to downgrade. And if you're freezing and that jacket was providing you warmth, but they decided that, well, we're all downgraded, you're all downgraded. You'll freeze if you have to. You're going to be in unison. You wouldn't have this soldier with a belt with a pistol on and the other one not. They'd either both not have it or they would both have it. But they were non-regulation from the standpoint of they were regulation. They looked like an Air Force flight suit with a Marine patrol cap. But this pistol belt, you zoom in on the pistol. Got the pictures, don't worry. Zoom in on the pistol. It looks like something you'd see in James Arnett's Gunsmoke or something. It was not a M9 Beretta, which is what Marine police carry. All right? But Marine police on base and Marine One, they dress separately, okay? Marine One, blue dress Charlie. You gotta be paying attention to details. That should tell you right there something ain't right. If you didn't know all the way up to that point, you should be thinking, after you saw that, you should be, something ain't right. Now, I'm a veteran. You out there, not me saying this, you should be saying, if you're a veteran, you should say, and I'm a veteran, and those uniforms were jacked up. There's something ain't right with this. That's when you started digging. That's when you should start doing your research. But we're a long way down in this now. Like, all these platforms should have been telling you law and order, long time ago. I mean, we're 2021, January 2021, here we are. It's August 26th, 2022. You're way behind, okay? Here's another thing. Biden and Kamala on Air Force One together. I have a buddy. He was Air Force One security for 12 years. He was on one of the live videos the other night telling all of you in the comment box, this is 100% correct. Everything I was saying, he was vouching for it. Air Force One security, okay? You don't put the president and the vice president on the same plane together. That's the dumbest thing you could ever do. If they were actually legit, if they were not actors and actresses, if they were not an actor and an actress, you would not put the president and the vice president on the same plane together. You just don't do that for multiple reasons. It's just not even. by law. But common sense, it don't even make any common sense. It wouldn't even matter who it fell to next. It wouldn't even matter the chain of command, how it would fall. You would not do that. You got to wake up, people. These fact checkers out there saying, oh, this didn't happen, or this is why it happened. No. Law and order. Regulations, symbols, optics. It's all backed. All of those are backed by law and order because of what? The premise and foundation of our nation. Narrowing down here. The baby formula shortage. I have an article. Got the pictures. It specifically says that the Secretary of Defense authorizes this mission, while Biden is doing something else. The baby formula shortage that you saw these Glowmasters come in, came from overseas now, flew from overseas. The article specifically says, Secretary of Defense authorizes the mission. The President of the United States doesn't know anything about baby formula shortage? Like, I thought he's president. Most of you would tell me he's president. A lot of you that don't know. A lot of you that had not seen my live videos. The ones who are just seeing this for the first time. You're going to tell me Biden is president, but he can't authorize baby formula shortage? We're talking about children here. We're talking about your children. Children are our future. All right? There's one thing that a veteran will tell you the most is that children, hey, I'd put my life down for a child before I would most adults. I'd put it down for you too, but a child, baby formula shortage, that president, and then a few weeks later says president was not informed in time enough for a baby formula shortage. Are you serious? He's got the same powers as president as everybody else if he was really president. How does he not know? How does he not know? Secretary of Defense authorizes mission. Executive Order 13919. Optics for you. Here's one more. The District of Columbia, D.C. Just this week alone, not all the other pictures I have in the documents, but just this week alone, there have been 10 aircraft in 2.5 days that have flown inside of the border of D.C., either by the White House or over the White House. 10 aircraft in 2.5 days have flown by or over the White House. FAA.gov regulations. District of Columbia is the most restricted airspace in the world. It has a 33-mile no-fly zone radius around the District of Columbia, not the White House, the District of Columbia. 33-mile no-fly zone radius around the District of Columbia. We have 10 military aircraft flying over or by the White House, okay? They have to have a reason to be in there. Never have they done this before. Never. And our military don't make that kind of mistake. They're in there for a reason, okay? They're in there for a reason. April 16th, 2021, your actress, the first actress press secretary, is in a live press conference acting, and all of a sudden she goes, ooh, did you hear that? There are planes overhead. Should have told you right there, but especially for the fact that they built another press room, which should have told you what? They're not actually in D.C. There were 2 optics with that, okay? So 2 optics with that, and you go, well, what if she wasn't in D.C.? The optic around that is military is in complete control, okay? That's an actress anyway, because, once again, wrapping this up, the reason why the National Guard are in D.C. and everywhere else, I have P-8 Poseidons, which are maritime aircraft, P-3 Orions, which are maritime aircraft. We have Glowmasters. We have the nuclear planes up in the sky, the Doomsday plane. We have the Constant Phoenix, which detects nuclear explosions planes in the skies and out in international waters. We have Air Force One flying around. Okay, we have Gitmo planes flying around with call sign Gitmo. All of these operations, once again, wrapping this up, you got to be able to take all these executive orders. You got to be able to take this blueprint and see this blueprint. All of the executive orders that issue national emergencies, also with the national emergencies outside the executive orders, all the executive orders past that, all of those put together, the Maritime Law going into effect, the Election Fraud Committee reporting, the 13919 executive order being activated on January the 6th, 2021. You seeing the troops on January the 17th marching to D.C. Okay, they did not leave until March 2021 and go back to their states. They've been in full operation every single day since January and March 2021 and all the way to present day, all over this country and all over the world. Should tell you right there in these documents, they prove once again that President Trump extended his powers as president according to, once again, gonna name them off, the military law, military regulations, executive orders, Stafford Act, Presidential Emergencies Act, 10 U.S. Code 12406, and 47 United States Code 606, which is war powers of the president, which extended his powers as president according to Article 2 and Article 4 of the Constitution of America. Donald John Trump, by law and by visual inauguration by law and constitutional law, military regulations, and also Joe Biden receiving a military-grade funeral service, Donald John Trump, by visuals, optics, laws, and orders, extended his powers as president. Fact check this.